them in paths that they have not known. I will make darkness light before them, and crooked things straight. These things will I do unto them, and not forsake them. They shall be turned back. They shall be greatly ashamed that trust in graven image. They say to the molten images, ye are gods, hear ye deaf, and look, ye blind, that ye may see. Who is blind but my servant, or deaf as my messenger that I sent? Who is blind as he that is perfect, and blind as the Lord's servant, saying many things, but thou observest not, opening the ears, but he heareth not. The Lord is well pleased for his righteousness' sake. He will magnify the law and make it honorable. But this is a people robbed and spoiled. They are all of them snared in holes, and they are hid in prison houses. They are for a prey, and none deliver. For a spoil, and none saith, restore. Who among you will give ear to this? Who will hearken and hear for the time to come? Who gave Jacob for a spoil, and Israel to the robbers? Did not the Lord, he against whom he has sinned? For they would not walk in his ways, neither were they obedient unto his law. Therefore he hath poured upon him the fury of his anger, and the strength of battle, and it hath set him on fire round about, yet he knew not, and it burned him, yet he laid it not to heart. That was Isaiah 42, verses 14 through 25. May the Lord add a blessing to the reading, hearing, and doing of his word. In Jesus' mighty name, amen.
Amen.
Thanks, as always, it is both an honor and a pleasure to stand before you guys. I'm not going to sit down because that's going to make me a little too late. So we'll just take a knee. So at any rate, we have today's lesson is going to actually be the wilderness, the place of safety during the Great Tribulation, purging after Jesus' return. You also see he that believes and is baptized shall be saved. So we're not going to do the whole lesson on that. We'll kind of go over that a little bit. You can keep that to yourself. Brother Josh, he's here. He'll probably, before we actually do baptism today, he'll cover a couple of scriptures. He don't have to go over this whole thing, but we'll kind of go over it then. So we'll do the lesson, we'll do the baptism, and we kind of eat the Bible stuff. Cool with everybody? All right. So that's the schedule for today. So at any rate, today's lesson is the wilderness, the place of safety during the tribulation, the purging after Jesus' return. Now, here's one of the great things about the Bible. Oh, I got a mic on. I'm not used to that. I ain't had a mic since Corona been going. No, that's not true. But I appreciate that. We good now? They can hear me now? All right. I forgot all about that there. All right. So at any rate, look, one of the things about the Bible that it does, the Bible for sure it gives you a standard for living and how you're supposed to live. Marlo, let's slide this up just a little bit. We got to pick it up, though. We won't mess up. Yeah, there we go. There we go. All right. No, I'm a cheat because I might lean on it a little bit, but I'm not going to really sit in it. I know, right? So at any rate, so what the Bible does, the Bible not only gives you your standard for living, it shows you, the Bible shows you, it gives you the rules to live by, and then it shows you how to accomplish those things. It would be kind of bad if if God only told you to do something and didn't tell you how to do it. And it uses a couple of variables on how to do so. You got the writings of people like David and Solomon, and they trying to school you on how to execute what God wants you to do. And then you got Jesus. He's your example. Okay. And then you have Paul, who was let's say a converter, somebody who's going out here and he's preaching the gospel and he's trying to get people to change their ways. This is pretty much what your Bible consists of. But then there's another avenue in the Bible, the prophecies. And so what the Bible does is it tells you the plan of God from pretty much day one or in the beginning all the way until we take it to the very end. The whole plan of God
It's in the Bible. Why, for every feast day we deal with, so on and so forth. Now, the world done jacked this beat all up. The wilderness. First of all, most of the world don't even know what a wilderness is. So here's where the wilderness comes into play. Number one, God is coming back. The world has taught that there will be a rapture. This theory comes from, in modern times, the 1800s. I think the guy's name was William Miller, and they started a movement somewhere in mid-America, and they were saying that the Lord could come back at any time. So this theory that the Lord can come back at any time is the rapture. And then the Bible proceeds to try to explain that there will be a tribulation. Just tell them. Just tell them out loud so y'all can stop. Whatever y'all need, just hold the conversation. It's okay. No, it's okay. I'm like, cause y'all will be doing that for about 10 minutes, trying to get a pillow. So, at any rate, they got this rapture. William Miller, that's the guy. And William Miller said the Lord can come back any year, any day. He ain't come back. So as you read the Bible and you uncover in the Bible that there's what we know as a great tribulation, and we're going to read this. And so people understand this, theologians understand this, and now what they begin to say and do is say, well, God's going to come back before the tribulation, or God's going to come back after the tribulation, or in the middle of the tribulation. They have all these different theories on when God is going to come back based off of this tribulation period. And one of the theories is that God is going to come back, and when he comes back, he's going to rapture off his church, and then the world will experience the tribulation. All right. And that's where, they got those little books and those little movies, Left Behind. That's the ideology that they have. All right. And these things come from these theologians. Now, the reality is God operates the same. God operates so much the same that on the 8th day of mankind's existence, he gonna grant mankind eternal life, a new body, just like he did for the 8th man from Adam, Enoch. Or God is so in tune to what he's doing that he's gonna take the same children out of America and Brazil and Europe, and he's gonna do it in light comparison to him taking them out of Egypt. Okay, now, the way God functioned in the title of the class, the wilderness, the place of safety during the great tribulation, or during the tribulation. You got to put in your mind that the tribulation is what we would compare to the 10 plagues. Okay, so during the plagues in Egypt, before God was going to deliver the children out of Egypt and give them their promised land, these plagues come down on Egypt, but they don't affect the children of Israel. They're in what's called Goshen. Okay, so this would be their wilderness. This would be their place of safety while the great tribulation was going on, all the way back then to deliver the children of Israel out of bondage. And that's going to happen again. Then what's going to happen is once the Lord does return, in similar fashion to Moses, we can say Moses was our savior then, like Jesus is now. Moses was our king and our priest back then. He was our intercessor, okay? Like Jesus will be when he returns. And then Moses took the children into the wilderness again, where they had to get the 10 commandments, where he took them to the wilderness at this point, where they got the 10 commandments and they made their covenants with God. All right, well, this is the same thing that the Lord is going to do when he returns. So what he's going to do is he's going to plague the world, then, and that'll be during the great tribulation period. Then he's going to return, and then he's going to bring the children of Israel into the wilderness. So what we learn, and we're going to learn today, is that you go to the wilderness as a group of people twice. A lot of people, look in the Bible, and we're going to read all this today. They look in the Bible, and they're like, oh, yeah, they're going to purge the rebels in the wilderness, like, as if that's on us. Like, we're hoping to not be a part of that, and we'll understand that because the purging of the rebels happens after the Lord comes back. So at any rate, without further ado, let's go ahead and get into some book. Let's start this off with Matthew chapter 24. Matthew chapter 24, and this is your chapter as always. that introduces or is the coming of the Lord. That's what chapter this is. Matthew chapter 24, and let's pick this up at verse 1 actually. Matthew chapter 24 and verse 1. When you get there, go ahead.
And Jesus went out and departed from the temple, and his disciples came to him to show him the building of the temple.
So the reason we started it at verse 1 is because this temple that you're looking at, that we read in Matthew 24, as insignificant as it may seem, this temple and this location and all that is relevant throughout history in the Bible, from the days of Solomon, and really before it ended. We're not going to go that deep, but days of Solomon. So even once the children of Israel went into Babylonian captivity and came out, they built this temple here. And now, even to this day, that same land is still a prized possession among the people. And that temple will come back in the very end. Okay. So Jesus went out and departed from the temple, and his disciples came to him to show him the building of the temple. And go ahead.
And Jesus said unto them, see ye not all these things? Verily I say unto you, there shall not be left here one stone upon another that shall not be thrown down. And as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, the disciples came unto him privately, saying, tell us, when shall these things be? And what shall be the sign of thy coming and of the end of the world?
Right. So in this chapter, we're going to learn three things here. We're going to see what should these things be, the things that's concerning the destruction of this temple. And then he's saying, and what is the sign of your coming and the end of the world? So look, what these men knew is that Jesus, when they call him the Christ, they know he is set up to be the king. So what they're really saying is, when your kingdom coming? Now, they're not comprehending like you about to die, resurrect. They looking at king like King David, like King Solomon, like Josiah. Those kings were amongst them and were flesh and blood people. So they got quite gathering the whole gamut of what's going to take place. So they ask us, so tell us, when is this temple going to get destroyed? Because when you tell me that, and I know you're going to be the king, then what I'm understanding is you don't want this temple, you want a better one. So when you going to do all this, right? So what happens? Go ahead.
And Jesus answered and said unto them, take heed that no man deceive you.
So rule number one, he's like, look, you need to make sure that you know what thus saith the Lord. You need to know what's in the Bible. This is rule number one to the coming of the Lord, is don't let anybody deceive you. Now, see, in this year here, because of a lack of deception, we weren't fearful through this season. We understood this ain't the end of the world. I mean, because you got to understand, the reason why the world's still tripping right now is because they didn't know, they didn't know in February and March when this plague came here. They didn't know if this was going to be the end of the world or not. Or is it the start of the end of the world? What? They don't know what is we going to ever return to. They don't know. And so, but see us, we got God's plan right here in the Bible. We know. So we weren't deceived. When it came out, we knew, oh man, this gonna come, this gonna go. You know what I'm saying? America ain't quite yet done. We still got layers of things that have to take place. We aren't deceived. So we're gonna always be in the know. And you're gonna find it more and more amazing how ignorant everybody else is. You go like they're gonna be panicking out like we really didn't panic. And I'm gonna tell you, had the world not panicked, then it wouldn't have been it wouldn't have played the way. Like if they knew what we knew, now I'm not saying they might not have said mask up. I really don't, go that far with it, because people have died. I want you to understand that. People have definitely died, especially a larger part of our seniors have died. But still in all, if they knew then if this wasn't the end of the world, they probably would just been like, yo, look, y'all need to mask up. You know what I'm saying? When you go out here, keep some distance between yourself, because that's what we're about to do anyway. Besides, I ain't never want y'all that close to me no way. I don't like going to the grocery store and having to say excuse me. Like, I hate it. So I was looking for Kroger's at 24 hours. I was mad when Philly don't have Kroger's, because I was like, man, I can go in there at 2 a.m. and grocery shop. I don't like to be around all them people. But at any rate, he say, look here. He say, don't let nobody deceive you. And that's the path that we on. That's why we know the Lord ain't coming back next year. That's why we know the world ain't ending next year. I don't care what disease they come up with for next year, it's not going to end. Okay, go ahead and read your next verse. Keep going.
For many shall come in my name, saying, I am Christ, and shall deceive many.
Right, it's going to be a great deception that takes place before God come back, where people going to be trying to be the Messiah, or they're going to even be giving credit to Jesus as the Messiah, but they're going to be walking in the lines of deception. So it is imperative that you read your Bible and you get what you got and you hold that. If you get something, don't let nobody take it from you. Like what we're going to learn today, look, don't let nobody steal this from you and try to convince you of something else that might take place when we get there. Know what you're going to read. That's all we're going to do today. We're going to read it, and it's going to be yours. All right, what verse?
Verse 6.
Go ahead, keep going.
And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars.
They're talking about this, the wars and rumors of wars. Mm-hmm. Look, it is just what it is. I mean, we can take it from a large scale. We can take it from a large scale because it's going to tell you in a minute, going to say nation shall rise against nation, right? So we can take it from a large scale or even a small scale when you start talking about wars and rumors of wars. Somebody was talking about this, I think it was Joe. He was talking about this earlier today, saying when he looked at wars and rumors of wars, he always felt like, it had some parallel to race wars and things of that. And to be honest with you, I mean, really nowadays it's really rich or poor. Like the black man just really poor in the big scheme of things. I mean, when the Israelite make $30 an hour, like we feel like he making good money. That ain't good money, y'all. I mean, I hate to be the one that, put a damper in anybody making less or anybody who making that amount and feel like, but 60 grand a year, that's what 30,000 an hour is. That ain't good money, y'all. And what I'm saying is really even 100 grand ain't really like good money. And so, but we don't understand how poor we are. And so it's not so much black and white no more. It's really more the have and the have nots. That's really, but again, we ain't got nothing and they do. So, but when it's all said and done, yeah, wars and rumors of wars. It's in every variable. Whatever war or rumor we have, that's what qualifies. Okay, go ahead. What verse?
6. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilence and earthquakes in divers places. All these are the beginnings of sorrow.
Go ahead, keep reading.
Then shall they deliver you up to be afflicted.
So what we're going through now, you would call this a minor pestilence too, by the way. It's really wasn't that major. But it was pestilent, none the same or still the same. And he say here, like, this stuff got to happen, but this is just the beginning of sorrow. So, like, what's going on in the world right now, it's just the beginning. We at the beginning stages of, and it's crazy, too, because it's funny, like, after the end of the pandemic, like, the world showed itself, or America showed itself to its government, like, man, we getting sick of this. Because, the people rioted. We paid that attention. But they wasn't rioting about that little boy or that man that died. They were just rioting because we just pissed. That's it. We just you just had us locked up in the house for 3 months, and then you show us on TV somebody getting murdered, 7-8 minutes with the police head to the neck. We just pissed off. So yeah, we tow up the place. That's what people do when they piss and make it so bad we can't tear your place up. Because if we tried to do that, if I decide like I want to go to the white neighborhood and burn down their churches or whatever, I probably won't make it past the county line without getting arrested. And then we know this. So yeah, you're right. I did tear up my own stuff. That's what children do. Because we have no control here. We are waiting on our master. That's what we're really waiting on. But go ahead. What verse?
Verse 9. Then shall they deliver you up to be afflicted.
Right. He said that's not the beginning of sorrow, but then they're going to deliver you to be afflicted. So you got to understand they're going to take you and they're going to want to have you killed. So like you start talking about making decisions, keeping Sabbath, it's going to come a time when they want to kill you. This should be a minor decision. Go ahead.
It shall kill you, and ye shall be hated of all nations for my name's sake. And then shall many be offended, and shall betray one another, and shall hate one another. And many false prophets shall rise, and shall deceive many. And because iniquity shall abound,
the love of many shall wax cold.
Go ahead.
But he that shall endure until the end, the same shall be saved. And this gospel of the kingdom shall be preached in all the world for a witness unto all nations. And then shall the end come.
Go ahead.
When ye therefore shall see the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet stand in the holy place, then let them which be in Judea flee into the mountains.
So what we're going to do is we get to this abomination of desolation. It says spoken of by Daniel the prophet. So we're going to look at the abomination. This is the Antichrist. So he's one of the players that got to come and play before the world. Like he has to be introduced. There has to be it has to be a main villain. And Donald Trump ain't the main villain. You know what I'm saying? The main villain is going to be the Antichrist. And this guy, let's go over to, let's see how I want to do this. I think I want to jump. No. Yeah, let's go introduce him real quick. Let's go over to Daniel chapter 8. Daniel chapter 8. So Daniel is one of those books, and it said the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet. So Daniel is one of those books that give us some end time prophecy. And the way the end time prophecies work, simply, the white man or Gentile, he run this place. He started off from what we call Babylon. So Babylon is like the transition between the black and the white of ruling this world. Because at first, the original Babylonians was black. But through the course of time, the people that come into the land and conquer Babylon, they're white, they're Gentiles, Chaldeans. Everything cool? Is that me?
It's good.
Oh. Was I doing something to it though? Oh, okay. Yeah, I can hear it better now for some reason. So at any rate, so Babylon is the switch and is where the white man has now taken over rulership of the world. And once he began to rule the world, hey Josh, do me a favor.
Yes.
I meant to grab it too. Hey, you'll grab that map out my book bag. Out my bag. Sorry. Thank you. So at any rate, the van unlocked, right? Yes. Okay. So at any rate, then you go from Babylon. Then we hear about Medo-Persians. You know, one of the things you might identify with Persian is like they got Persian rugs or something like that. You know, you might, or even animals called, like Persian cats and things that like you might identify that just by hearing the name, but not a whole lot of the Medo-Persian Empire exists directly. And when I say directly, because it's indirectly, they exist majorly. That's where you get your Christmas from. Then behind the Medes and the Persians, you get Alexander the Great and the Greeks. And that's pretty much what we as modern day historians, like when you go to school, you're going to learn about the Greeks. And you're going to learn about Alexander the Great. And you're going to learn about the Medes and the Persians, but not as major. Once history really picks up, it's going to be Greek history. That's why when you go to college, they got these Greek fraternities and the Greeks have played a major role in the fabric of our society today. As a matter of fact, more than the Romans who took over next. Because Rome pretty much said, keep what you got, pay your taxes. That's all they wanted. So Daniel runs you through those kings. And then once you get to Rome is where we presently are. Rome is still common, thank you. And we know it even as the Roman Catholic Church. So we still know Rome. You know, we still know like he the old school player that's still in the game. The Romans are, okay? So when we get to this Daniel chapter 8, what it has done in this chapter is it started walking you down that path that I just walked you on the different dynasties and rulers of the world. But this time it was a dream, so what it used animals and horns and goats and things of that nature, things that you could understand in that day, but things that we would have to break down. So we just going to pick Daniel 8 up, and we're going to pick up, because it said the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet. So we're going to pick up this abomination guy. He's a person. And Daniel 8, and let's start it off at we're going to actually start it at verse 5. Daniel 8 and 5. When you get there, go ahead.
And as I was considering, behold, a he-goat came from the west of the face of the whole earth, and touched not the ground, and the goat had a noble horn between his eyes.
All right, so he started talking. This is what the visions are. He see a goat with a notable horn between his eye. Okay, go ahead.
And he came to the ram that had 2 horns, which I had seen standing before the river, and ran unto him in the fury of his power. And I saw him come close unto the ram, and he was moved with choler against him, and smote the ram, and break his 2 horns, and there was no power in the ram to stand before him. But he cast him down to the ground, and stamped upon him, and there was none that could deliver the ram out of his hand.
Go ahead.
Therefore the he goat waxed very great, and when he was strong, the great horn was broken, and for it came up 4 notable ones towards the 4 winds of heaven.
All right, so what's going on? And I'm gonna use my map a little bit just to kind of help you as we talk about it. But this is the Western Hemisphere, Eastern Hemisphere. Swear everything matters. So at any rate, this is the European area, Africa, Middle Eastern area over here, whatever, Mediterranean Sea. So when he said, I was considering, behold, he came to the ram, and the ram had 2 horns, which I had seen standing before the river, and ran, I'm at verse 6, and ran in fury and power. And I saw him come closer to the ram, and he was moved with choler against him, and smote the ram, and break his 2 horns. And there was no power in the ram to stand before him. But he cast down to the ground and stamped him, and there was none that could deliver the ram out of his hand. Therefore the he goat waxed very great. Okay, so the ram is coming from this area, and the goat is coming from this area. And basically all it's just saying is that this is where Greek's coming from. And Greece is going to come through, and the Greeks end up running all of this. That's what Alexander run you all the way. Alexander the Great run you from right up under Italy all the way over to like India. He had all this kingdom. That's a large kingdom. Like, that's a larger kingdom than like Russia or the Soviet Union, but Russia, even though they're not even using all that for, to do stuff. But I'm saying this was a very large populated kingdom. And what the Bible is showing you is that it went from the Medo-Persians to Alexander the Great. Now, when Alexander the Great died, he was a general around 300 or something BC. When he died, because he had no contingency plan, his generals fought it out. And he had 4 generals, okay? So now it said in verse 8, there the goat waxed very great. And when he was strong, the great horn was broken. So this great horn is Alexander the Great. And Alexander the Great died at about 32, 33 years old. And he was a great conqueror. The great horn was broken, and for it came up 4 notable ones toward the 4 winds of heaven. So when it say 4 notable horns came up toward the 4 winds of heaven, it's saying like the 4 corners of the earth. So basically what it's saying is but the known earth was just this at the time. And what he's saying is now we done split this area up into 4. So after the Greeks, 300 and something, this area get 300 and something BC. The world that we know it gets split up into 4 regions. Out of one of these regions come Rome. And that's what Daniel was talking about. So go ahead, verse 9.
And out of one of them came forth a little horn.
Right, so out of one of those regions, or out of one in verse 8 where it said for the notable, so it said 4 notable ones came from the verse 8. Therefore the he goat waxed very great. And when he was strong, the great horn was broken. And for it came up 4 notable ones. So when that horn got broken, 4 of them came. Those 4 represent governments. Alexander the Great's 4 generals. And then out of one of those generals, over a course of a couple hundred years, here comes your Roman dynasty. All right. Rome gonna play and be the power to the end. All right. Go ahead.
And out of one of them came forth a little horn, which waxed exceedingly great, towards the south and towards the east and towards the pleasant land. And it waxed great even to the host of heaven. And it cast down some of the host and of the stars to the ground.
So this little horn right here, he gonna last till God come back. Remember that. It's saying here, and it said, and it waxed great even to the host of heaven. So this dude, He great even to God. All right. So he gonna be put it to you like this. The Lord said to my Lord, sit down at my right hand till I make your enemies your footstool. So this dude here gonna be the enemy. You know what I mean? So like out of all the men, he gonna be the one, I guess we could say, worthy enough to sit in the chair to be called Antichrist. Because you ain't on that level, but you the highest level of man. Let's put it to you like that, higher than any other king. All right, what verse?
Verse 11.
Uh-huh.
Yea, he magnified himself even to the prince of the host.
This same man, he magnified himself. Go ahead.
And by him the daily sacrifice was taken away.
Right. So this guy here was the abomination of desolation spoken of in Matthew 24. And what he's going to do is part of his plan is he's going to take the world is going to start making a sacrifice. It's getting bad out here. It's getting so bad. It's getting so much sin out here. So eventually everybody's going to try to figure out the answer. So one of the answers is going to be, okay, we're going to rebuild a new temple and we're going to sacrifice for the world. Well, this dude going to say, why is you doing that? I'm here. You ain't got to make no sacrifices. I got this. You just holler at me. So that's where it said, yeah, he magnified himself even to the prince of hosts, and by him was the daily sacrifice taken away, and the place of the sanctuary was cast down. Go ahead.
And a host was given him against the daily sacrifice by reason of transgression, and it cast down the truth to the ground, and it practiced and prospered.
Go ahead.
Then I heard one saint speaking, and another saint said unto that certain saint which spake, how long shall be the vision concerning the daily sacrifice and the transgression of desolation?
Right.
To give both the sanctuary and the host to be trodden underfoot.
All right, so as Daniel trying to understand, he said he heard one of the saints speaking, saying one to another, how do you know that he's looking at all this? Verse 14.
And he said unto me, unto 2,300 days, then shall the sanctuary be cleansed.
Right, okay, that's good. So let's go back to Matthew chapter 24. Matthew chapter 24. So we're going to pick it back up in verse 15, and we're going to finish this and then go back to Daniel, and then we're going to start moving toward our next. So Daniel 8, Daniel 11, Revelation 12 is really your Antichrist. Your Antichrist is the trigger for, where we at?
Verse 15.
Go ahead. Matthew chapter 24, verse 15. When you get there, go ahead. Matthew 24 and 15. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
When ye therefore shall see the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet, standing in the holy place.
All right, so the abomination of desolation standing in the holy place of Jerusalem. This abomination of desolation, he's the Antichrist. When you see him, what you need to do?
Then let them which be in Judea flee into the mountains. Let him which is on the housetop not come down to take anything out of his house. Neither let him which is in the field return back to take his clothes. And woe unto them that are with child, and to them that give suck in those days. But pray ye that your flight be not in the winter, neither on the Sabbath day. For then shall be a great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time, no, nor ever shall be.
So understand the chapter that you just read. You just read the chapter that took you from the disciples to the end of the world. And we saw this great tribulation, but what we have not seen is any type form of rapture. Anybody leaving this place. This is what the world teaches you. It sounds dumb, really, when you start getting the understanding, like you really telling me I'm going to leave here. Ain't nobody else leaving here. Y'all trying to argue whether we done been to the moon or back. And you trying to tell me when I die, I'm going to leave this place. Or you trying to tell me that God is going to come and take me away from this place as he inflicts his wrath on them. Why he just can't protect me from his wrath? He can come get me. Why he can't just hide me and keep me safe somewhere? That's a big world. Put me in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean somewhere in a bubble or something. It's some kind of way you can protect me if you're God. But that's what he plans on doing from the wrath of whom? No, that's the key. We're going to get there, though. What verse? 21. For then shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time, no ever shall be. Like, it's going to be the worst time ever. Then let's skip down to verse 29. Go ahead.
Immediately after the tribulation of those days shall the sun be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light.
All right, so this sun being darkened, moon not giving her light, this is one of the key elements to seeing the return of the Lord. When you read your Bible, you will see that at the beginning of the return of the Lord often. Okay, so really, immediately after the tribulation, we about to see the sign of the Son of Man coming. That's what we about to see this Jesus. Because remember, the chapter in Matthew 24, the question was asked at verse 3, when should these things be? And what is the sign of your coming and the end of the world? So he's going to answer that question. And he took them through the whole, wars, rumors of wars, Antichrist. Now he's saying you got a great tribulation period, worst time ever. And then he's saying immediately after the tribulation of those days, the sun shall be darkened, the moon shall not give her light, the stars shall fall from heaven, and the power of heaven shall be shaken. Verse 30.
And then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in
where
heaven.
He gonna rapture us off. Go ahead.
And then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn, and they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory.
He coming. He don't say, we ain't read nothing about he coming and then he taking us, somewhere else, rapturing us somewhere. It's saying he's coming. Go ahead.
And he shall send his angels with a great sound of a trumpet, and they shall gather together his elect from the four winds, from one end of heaven to the other.
All right. Some people try to even use that to say when he gathered the elect, he gonna gather them and take them up into. That's why they can't figure out when the tribulation is. It's before. When the rapture is. It's before the tribulation, in the middle, after. Because they read so much stuff, but the problem is ain't no rapture. So therefore, that's why what you trying to place there, what you just saw, verse 31. He should send his angels with the great sound of a trumpet, and they should gather together his elect from the four winds of heaven. He talking about gathering us. That's what he talking about. He talking about gathering Israel when he returns. That ain't got nothing to do with you getting raptured, going somewhere. At any rate, because again, the chapter is about what is the sign of your coming and what is the sign of the end of the world. And the thing about it is, at the end of the world, the children of Israel, these poor little black folks, that's getting beat up by the police, they're going to get gathered, and the Lord going to take them back to Jerusalem. And that's what we're going to learn today. That's the key to what we're going to learn today. All right? So let's go back over to Daniel now. Daniel chapter 11. And we're going to learn a little more about this Antichrist, because he's going to be the one that's kicking off this great tribulation. Daniel chapter 11. And let's pick him up at verse 31. Daniel 11 and 31. When you get there, go ahead.
An arm shall stand on his part.
So we still talking about this abominable God, and the arms mean he gonna have a military. Go ahead.
And they shall pollute the sanctuary of strength, and shall take away the daily sacrifice, and they shall place the abomination that maketh desolate.
Now Jesus already say when he stand in the holy place, so we know it's Jerusalem. Then Pete, and I'm explaining to you like this for a reason. An arm should stand on his part, and he should take away the daily sacrifice. So look, because people in life gonna try to tell you all type of reasons why it's the way they feel it is. When you see somebody that's taking away a daily sacrifice, know that's your man. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you don't know nothing, because people gonna be trying to say it's this way and it's that way, and the European market is. I done heard all kind of theories of what it is and what it ain't. But what I'm trying to show you so that you aren't deceived, when you see somebody take away a sacrifice, that's your guy. Like then it says, and they shall place the abomination that make them desolate. Like you watching for somebody who really is anti-Christ, but not because his name is Jesus something else, and he trying to, like, not on that level, but you're looking for somebody like who really is the direct opposite of what God is showing us. Well, look, for one, the main corporate of the guilt is you. So number one, when I'm looking for my Antichrist, I'm looking for it's funny because I was when I was before getting in the word, but like just when you hear, it was like around a lot of that stuff was going on in Iran at the time. You know what I'm saying? This was around the time of that what's the first boy that we went over there to the Middle East and got in the 90s? Yeah, it was around his time era. Okay, so they was like, "Yo, the Antichrist is coming from the Muslims," but the Muslims, the funny thing about it is, they faith kind of similar to ours, in very like in many ways. Now, we talking Antichrist levels, so I'm not saying that they faith is close to us, but closer really than what we would say modern day Christianity is. And you might be like, well, but they calling on Jesus. Man, it go deeper than that. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's one avenue that got them all shook. But let me tell it, both of y'all shook on Jesus anyway. So I don't even, but long story short though, when you're looking for an antichrist, you're looking for somebody who's coming like soft, sweet, special. You ain't looking for like Bison off of Street Fighter. You know what I'm saying? So, like that's how they be trying to play the game. Like the Antichrist supposed to be some old military looking dude who, 6-star general. They don't even do that. You know what I'm saying? They like he's supposed to be something like, nah, this dude, he's the Antichrist because he is the religious leader that is anti what the Bible is saying. And that is what the Roman Catholic Church is. Everything that they stand for is anti what the Bible says. All right. So it says, and this dude, verse 31, arms, military. He gonna have an army. He gonna pollute the sanctuary of strength, take away the daily sacrifice. Remember that one. That's what you're looking for. And they should place the abomination to make a death. When I say you looking for that, if you don't ever see that in your lifetime, Lord ain't coming back on you. I mean, that's the bottom line. When you see them starting the sacrifice, then you know you're there. Like when I say you know you're there. Like they might start sacrificing and it might not even be in the temple. Pay attention, especially those scholarly people that know all the numbers. You know what I'm saying? It's how long was the sanctuary going to be. So they can start sacrificing today. Just know you there. But until they move that sacrifice over into the temple, we ain't going to start counting nothing. All right. At any rate, what verse? 32?
36.
36? All right, let's jump down to 36. Go ahead.
And the king shall do according to his will, and he shall exalt himself and magnify himself above every god.
Yo, this dude here is a king. Now, here's the other variable that you need to pay attention to in identifying who this character is, and what's, and without, because like the world, you gonna say it's the Pope, and the world gonna tell you something else. So how else do you identify? Where it says he gonna exalt himself and magnify himself above every god. He gonna speak against the God of gods, prosper till an indignation be accomplished. Verse 37.
Neither shall he regard the God of his fathers.
So this man ain't gonna regard the God of his fathers. Now I'm telling you, he's the Antichrist. I'm telling you, he's come from the line of popes. So when you understand that, look, the popes, they all call on Jesus. They do. They all believe, for the lack of a better word, in God. This dude ain't gonna be on that level. He ain't gonna be. He gonna have power. See, the rest of them wasn't walking around here with no power. So he gonna really place himself in the seat of God. So he's not gonna be like the rest of. It's like it said here. It said, neither shall he regard the God of his fathers. Then what else do it say?
Nor the desire of women.
He's a punk. Go ahead.
Nor regard any God, for he shall magnify himself above all.
So you see what is on? He magnifies this man here. This is the dude that's going to start this great tribulation. This is the guy that's he's going to be the one that come in this place and bring peace to everybody, and he run it. I got all of Europe, America, South America, Africa on lock. That's how he gonna feel. What verse? 38. Notice I didn't say Asia. Go ahead.
But in his estate shall he honor the God of forces, and a God whom his fathers knew not shall be honored with gold and silver, and with precious stones and pleasant things.
All right, let's go over here now to Revelation chapter 12. Revelation chapter 12. Revelation chapter 12. Amazing. I say it's amazing because I laugh at myself do this because I remember cracking jokes on my teachers like Azaria, Boo. I realized we on the fourth scripture after an hour. Revelation chapter 12. And let's pick this up at verse 1. Revelation 12 and 1. So now this is another one of those books that's delivering the prophecies to you. John, one of Jesus' disciples and great followers, was on this island pretty much by himself that I understand. And God started showing him visions of the future. And in these visions, he going to take them and he going to run them here. And let's start this Revelation 12. So what we're doing with this too is this is bringing, how we want to say this. This is taking the good and evil of all mankind's existence and running it, showing it to you and running it from the beginning pretty much to the end. That's what this chapter is kind of doing, if that makes sense. So let's start it off at verse 1. Revelation 12 and 1. And when you get there, go ahead.
And there appeared a great wonder in heaven.
So John looking up at heaven, he see a great wonder. What that wonder look like, Marlo?
A woman clothed with the sun and the moon under her feet.
So this woman is the church. He said this woman was clothed with the sun and the moon. How do you know this is the church, Jedi? You just be talking. Well, no, actually, I be studying. And what happens is if you go back to Genesis 37, which you can put notes in your paper, but we're not going to do that part today. If you go back to Genesis 37, though, what you find out is that Joseph, one of Jacob's, was he the 11th or the 10th or 11th out of 12 sons, if I'm not mistaken. And one of his sons had a dream in which all his brothers, it was 11 stars, and they bowed down to him, and his mama and daddy was the sun and the moon. That's Genesis 37. And so the father, when they, break down the dream, was like, oh, the stars, so my brother and me and your mama bow down to you. Well, that whole branch right there, or again, pick it up Revelation 12 and 1.
And there appeared a great wonder in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun and the moon under her feet, and upon her head a crown of 12 stars.
So this woman is really, she's Israel. And what Israel is, and it is very important that you understand, Israel, the nation, is the church. Like not just the building or none of that. And then here's something that y'all might not like, though. All Israel is the church. Not just us sitting in here. I'm talking about, the niggas in the hood. They the church too. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I said it. The niggas in the hood, they the church too. You know what I'm saying? Like, because all Israel is now something wrong with the church, but God ain't looking at the Israel and saying, oh well, I like some of them, I don't. He's just looking at Israel like I'm pissed at y'all. Y'all ain't getting it done. You know what I'm saying? Now he got some elect say he speak of that all quite often, but he not looking at. First of all, God ain't looking at Israel and looking at 2% of the people. He looking at Israel as the whole thing. The majority of us, we in some bad doctrine, but we all still technically have always been the true church. All right. So he said, and the woman clothed with the sun and the moon under her feet, and upon her head and the crown. Now, when I make all that statement, I do want you to understand that the Gentile, the white man, sons of Japheth, he can be a part of Israel. He cannot naturally be a part of Israel. But just like, perfect example, just like my wife. My wife can be Israelite all she wants, but she's not. But she married one. And now y'all might be like, what are you talking about? I know your wife. She look like me. Right. My wife a Gentile. Her dad is daddy white all day. That make her a Gentile. You are what your father is. Exactly. So she could try to be, now, but she Israel though. You know why? Because she mine. She ain't her daddy's no more. So same with the Gentile. If the Gentile take hold of the covenants with God, that's all she did. She took a covenant with an Israelite, makes her an Israelite. So if the Gentile make a covenant with Israel and decide you're going to keep the commandments that God gave them, then you can be Israel too. Not physically. You can't never be that. But mentally, which is what it takes. Because to be Israel is to have power with God and with man anyway. So at any rate, so that's who this woman is. All right, now let's go look at the next player. Verse 3.
And there appeared another wonder in heaven. And behold, a great red dragon, having 7 heads and 10 horns and 7 crowns upon his head.
So the reason he did that is because if you go back to Daniel, you'll see dreams there where Daniel saw beasts of these natures. And so what this is representing right here is the Roman Empire. But not just the Roman Empire from like the Caesars all the way to Napoleon or something. This is representing the Roman Empire going all the way back to your boy Nebuchadnezzar and running it all the way to the last guy. This is what he's seeing here. Okay, so he said, well, actually, there appeared another wonder in heaven, and behold, a great red dragon. So really, to be honest with you, you're looking at the devil, but the devil is the king over all those nations we was just discussing, and so that's why the description is like that. He don't look like this actually, but go ahead, keep reading.
And his tail drew the third part of the stars of heaven.
Right.
And
now, to my understanding, when he say the tails drew the third part of the stars of heaven, he's talking about angels. Now, I want you to understand something about the way I teach. When I say to my understanding, what that means, I'm just going to let you know, is that I can prove it, but I'm not about to do it right now. So since I didn't prove it right now, I say to my understanding, letting you know that I haven't proved to you what I just said. Y'all follow what I'm saying? Okay. I just want, because look, my job as a teacher, number one, is to make sure that I teach you, but number two, make sure you learn how to not be deceived. You see what I'm saying? So therefore, I'm not going to stand up here and just trick you and not throw it back at you. You understand what I'm saying? Like, meaning, like, I'm telling you something that we didn't prove, but we supposed to prove all things. So that means either you go find it, or then you got to sit on the fence and just pay attention to be like, okay, that's what he said, until I get it. Because ultimately what you must understand is this is what you have to get. Like when I come and talk to you about the Bible, I don't want to hear what Elijah or Jediah think. What do you know about the Bible? What can you give me of? Because what I got, this all me. You understand? It's all my work, all my sweat, all my understanding. So again, when we look here, it says, and his tail. So if you looked at verse 3, I was saying that was supposed to be Satan, and it was represented by his government, the head, 7 heads, 10 horns, 7 crowns on his head. Then it said that his tail drew a third part of the stars of heaven. So to my understanding, this is at the beginning, and he took a third of the angels with him. Okay? Go ahead, keep reading.
And did cast them to the earth.
And notice where it's saying that they took these stars or these angels to the earth. Go ahead.
And the dragon stood before the woman, which was ready to be delivered.
But that's really why we're here, because the dragon stood before the church. So it's animosity, but this animosity been here since day one. If you go back to Genesis chapter 3, it said, I'm going to put enmity between the woman and her seed. Well, the women don't carry seeds, but this one do. Keep reading.
For to devour her child as soon as it was born.
Right, this child, well, let's see what the child is. Keep reading.
And she brought forth a man-child, who was to rule all nations with a rod of iron, and her child was caught up unto God and to his throne.
This wasn't no ordinary chick right here. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Like, I don't know nobody, I don't know no woman had no baby who left up out of here and went up to God to be with his throne, except for Mary. Right, but see, in the bigger scheme of things, this woman represents a nation as well. And what nation did Jesus come from? Israel. Keep going up.
And the woman fled into the wilderness.
So now it said that the woman had an adversary, this beast or this dragon, and then it says, so when the dragon came at this woman, here's the first time in this lesson, no, second time, that we started to see that this woman ran into the wilderness. When was the first time we saw a wilderness? Matthew. There we go. I think we saw it. Or did it just say flee? And I said wilderness. Let's see. Yeah, I think it do say flee into the wilderness. Let's see here. Matthew 21. For then there should be in those days should be shortened. Always tell us the mountains and all that. Okay. So here's the first place we see wilderness right here. This is where you going when it tells you to flee in Matthew 24. You taking your butt to a place of safety. Oh my line. I'm sorry. I'm like, yo, that's crazy. Oh, you thought that was you, huh? Sorry, y'all. So when he told you to flee in Matthew 24 because of this abomination of desolation, now you seeing that a place of safety called the wilderness is prepared to protect you from this dragon. But this dragon is Satan, but we're going to learn later that Satan is giving his power over to this Antichrist. So really, when you see the dragon, you just see the Antichrist. So even right here, when it said that she brought forth the man-child who's to rule all nations with a rod of iron, then in verse 6, and it said, and the woman fled into the wilderness, where she had a place prepared. Well, in verse, okay, forget it. Don't worry about it. We're going to catch it back up in a minute. Keep reading.
Where she have a place prepared of God, that they should feed her there 1,260 days.
All right, let's skip down. So it's saying that now here goes a date now. That 1,203 square days. That's 1,260 days. No. Yeah, 1,260. The score is 20. So that's 1,260 days, which comes out to 360 times 3.5, which is 3.5 years. 360 is pretty much the length of a year. All right. So basically, we are going to be in this wilderness, being safe from this dragon 3.5 years. Now let's jump over to not 9. Let's jump over to verse 13.
And when the dragon saw that he was cast unto the earth, he persecuted the woman which brought forth the man-child.
Uh-huh.
And to the woman.
Now the dragon, if you look at verse 9, the dragon is Satan. That's what verse 9 say. Verse 9 say, and that dragon was cast out, that old serpent. Old serpent as in Genesis chapter 3. That old serpent called the devil and Satan. Just let you know, look here, all this dude the same person. And he the deceiver of the whole world. That's who he is. So now, when we get to verse 13, and when Satan, the dragon, was cast out onto the earth, he persecuted the woman which brought forth the man-child. So, like, you mean to tell me Satan just came after one individual person? No, he persecuted the church. Constantly persecuted the church. Go ahead.
And to the woman were given 2 wings of a great eagle, that she might fly into the wilderness and to her place, where she is nourished for a time.
So again, this woman is, we're seeing her being saved from all this in the place, and it's a wilderness, and in this case, 3.5 years. That's what we seeing. Let's go read some more. We that. Yeah. We good with that. Let's go to Jeremiah chapter 30. Jeremiah 30. Don't worry, it's not as long as it seems after we get here. Start moving. I don't know about that one. This is gonna be long today, y'all. Forget all that. We're gonna learn a little book today. But the main thing I want you to know, and we're gonna understand all the whys to what God is doing. But I want you to know, like the wilderness happens twice. You know what I'm saying? Like there was a misconception. My first probably 10 years in the word, I ain't hear that. That the wilderness, like now you might hear it a little more, but I didn't hear that. And they were just like, and when we get to the wilderness, the Lord gonna purge the rebels. And that just didn't register with me because I was like, well, I thought the church make it to the wilderness, but we're gonna get there though. We're gonna see that. All that began to make more sense later. Jeremiah chapter 30, let's pick it up verse 1. Go ahead.
The word that came to Jeremiah from the Lord, saying, thus speaketh the Lord God of Israel, saying, write thee all the words that I have spoken unto thee in a book. For lo, the days come, saith the Lord, that I will bring again the captivity of my people in Judah.
So we Israel and Judah, we his people, the black people. He said, it's gonna come a day when I'm gonna bring them out of this captivity. That's what he's saying. I'm gonna come and deliver them out of all their troubles. Ain't gonna be no more marching, all that. That stuff ain't gonna do it. I'm going to come and deliver them come a day. Go ahead.
Saith the Lord, and I will cause them to return to the land I had gave to their fathers, and they shall possess it.
So you're gonna get up out of South America, North America, and Europe, and places of that nature, and some of the parts of Africa, and you're gonna get up into that Jerusalem. Go ahead. Yeah, let's jump down to verse 7. Yeah.
Alas, for that day is
So
great.
the day that the Lord is going to come back and gather the children of Israel, like we saw in Matthew 24, when he said he's going to gather his elect, when he going to do that, he said that day is great. Go ahead.
So that none is like it.
He said this is a very great day. Go ahead.
It is even the time of Jacob's trouble.
Right.
But he shall be saved out of it.
Right. So he's saying, look, it's actually the time of Jacob's trouble, but God going to save Israel out of the trouble that they in. See, as the world continues to travel in this path, it's getting worse for Israel, not better. Like, we didn't transition from slavery, but when we transition from slavery, like, can you imagine slavery like in 2020? Like, we got the internet. Like, how we gonna have slavery? Like, we gonna be on the plantation out there picking cotton, talking about Facebook Live. Right, that way gonna work. You know what I'm saying? Like, it just wasn't gonna work because I wasn't gonna do it. That's why. So it could never maintain what we saw in the 1800s. That was never gonna maintain itself because technology was gonna allow it to vanish from that perspective. But with all that being said, and you might not be a cotton picking nigga no more, but at the same time, though, it's worse for you now, today, in 2020, than it is in 1720 or 1820. It's worse for you. So let me tell you something about safety. If you was a slave, you know what you got. If you got up in the morning, you was going to do this, that, everything was clockwork. You know what I'm saying? So there's really no danger in that unless you decide to buck the system. And hey, look, I'm not saying that ain't happened. On many occasions it did. But I'm saying there's really no danger in that. If you out here without no pass, you were a slave during the slave era, chances are they ain't going to kill you because they want that money. They're going to take you back to where you got to go. Nowadays, though, man, we're going to put Gary in the back. Other than that, we all going to act nice, calm, and civilized.
He ain't getting back there.
We're going to act nice, calm, and civilized, though, and hope to pray that we walk out of there home safely. But that don't happen all the time. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm saying it's worse now, and it's continuing. The process is continuing and continuing. I mean, when I heard about Rodney King in 92, the list wasn't as big. Now it's getting to the point where I be hearing about names. I be like, dang, man, I didn't even know you died. They got whole T-shirts now with all these names on people who got killed by the police. I'm like, dang, they got enough to build a school with that. I mean, so I'm just saying, like, it's getting, and that ain't, that ain't even the least of it. That right there is something you can see. That's something tangible you can comprehend, let alone what they feeding our minds in these schools and what they feeding us on these television, this music, and all. I mean, look, it's worse for us now. It is the time of Jacob's trouble, which is where we're going to when we start hitting this wilderness. Let me explain something to you as we start to approach the Great Tribulation. Let me explain something. If time is going to get rough for the Gentiles, the white man, which nigga's going to get for you? You think it get better for you? You think you get to live good while he live bad? Or you get to party while he suffer? If he suffer, y'all didn't just see it. Like, he suffered. Like, when they shut the NBA down, that was a wrap. White man said, I can't make no money at these doggone casinos. I can't get it in. Like, can't nobody do nothing. And after that, the whole world shut down. Y'all didn't notice that? Like, I'm talking about before the NBA shut down, we was cool. Everything was cool. They shut down the NBA. That's what I'm saying. What do you think happens when a Gentile, he can't get his way? It get worse on you. Just saying. And at the end of the day, was they out there stealing from these stores, blowing up ATMs? Nah, because it got worse on us. They don't need it that bad, honestly. Not as a whole, they don't. We do. We got nothing. So he said this comes down, it's called the time of Jacob or Israel's trouble. That's what we're leading to. Let's go over to Revelation chapter 6 now. Revelation chapter 6. The time of Jacob's trouble. That's what the Great Tribulation is all about. That's why we need someplace to be saved from this. So now Revelation chapter 6 is we're gonna talk about this Antichrist guy. Again, because he the ringleader of Jacob's trouble. Revelation chapter 6, pick him up in verse 1. When you get there, go ahead.
And I saw when the Lamb opened one of the seals, and I heard, as it were, the noise of thunder. One of the four beasts saying, "Come and see." And I saw, and behold, a white horse, and he that sat on him had a bow, and a crown was given unto him. And
Okay,
he
so look, we don't go into what's called the seals. They done made movies. They always trying to explain the Bible. They made the Seven Seals movie. Anybody ever seen that movie?
no.
Yo, this came out like in the 80s, like the late 80s, I think. Trash. They can't never get it right. You know, they can't never get the doggone prophetic stuff. They just always wrong. The best time they get it right is when they make an alien movie. That's the best time. They ain't even trying to get it right then. You know what I'm saying? They trying to say something else. And that be about the best. Anything else prophetic though, man, they be so like, what was that one with Arnold Schwarzenegger? Y'all remember that one? Man, trash. I mean, entertaining. You know what I'm saying? Very entertaining, but if nothing like, and they be trying to like, you know, then this is the, you know, the pale horse here or the this and that, and I'd be like, so look, now that we here, these horses, number 1, 2, 3, and 4, it's all the same thing. It's the beginning of the Great Tribulation and the Antichrist. It's not like, okay, number 1 horse got to happen, then number 2 horse got to happen.
Behold, a white horse, and he that sat on him had a bow.
Like a bow and arrow, like a bow. Go ahead.
And a crown was given unto him.
Right, so he had a crown. This one dude sitting on the horse, he got a crown. What we're doing first is we're introducing the leader of the Antichrist movement, of the Satan movement, or whatever. This is the guy right here. He got a crown on. He's going to conquer. Go ahead.
And he went forth conquering and to conquer.
Uh-huh.
And when he had opened the second seal, I heard the second beast say, "Come and see." And there went out another horse that was red, and power was given to him that sat thereon to take peace from the earth.
So notice, the first thing you got this guy that's conquering, and then it said, and he's taking peace from the earth, because this is going to be the same person. Go ahead, next verse.
And, the next verse.
I mean, you can keep reading.
And that they should kill one another, and there was given unto him a great sword. And when he had opened the third seal, I heard the third beast say, "Come and see." And I beheld, and lo, a black horse that sat on him had a pair of balances in his hand. And when he had opened the fourth hand, I looked, and behold, a pale horse. And his name that sat on him was Death.
Yeah.
And hell followed with him.
So you see, on this last sword, so basically, 1, 2, 3, 4, starting at verse 1, ending at verse 8. This is all the Antichrist and him coming in. So at the first seal, it showed him coming. He gonna conquer. He gonna be the ruler. The second seal, seal is showing him taking peace from the earth. The third seal shows that he has control of the food. I had verse 6. I heard a voice in the midst of the 4 beasts, a measure of barley for a penny, and 3 measures of barley for a penny. See, thou hurt not the oil and the wine. So, you know, this dude here is controlling the vegetation and stuff, the price setting on it. Then it said, because this is, when we get to this great tribulation period, this that caste of society period we moving to. You know what I'm saying? So somebody's controlling all of this. And when he had opened the 4th seal, I heard the voice, he looked down and followed, and then he said, and power was given unto him over the 4th part of the earth to kill with the sword. So, you know, the 4th part of the earth to kill with the sword. Y'all, how many people died from corona? Yeah, that's what it was, 400,000. And what, it was 7 million that got infected, something like that, or was it? Yeah, I think it was like 7 million that got affected, 400,000 that died. Then how many people on in the earth? I think it's like 13 billion or something like that, or 7 billion. That's what it is, 7 billion. All right. So 7 billion people died. 7 billion people on the earth, and we just said 600,000 died, right? 400,000. Okay, we're gonna move it up to 600,000, and we're gonna say it's 6 billion people on the earth. Y'all know what that percentage is? It's like 1% of the people that have died just now. I mean, we give or take. We off. Less than 1, really. Less than 1% of people have just died. Do y'all know how to turn percentages into fractions? So it said the Lord said he gonna kill a third of man. He just killed the 10th. He just killed. No, did he kill a 10th? No, he killed 100th. He just killed the 100th of man right now with the coronavirus. 100th, meaning 1 out of 100 people died, give or take. You know what I'm saying? That's when you're saying less than 1% of the world's population died from this. So that means 1 out of 100 people died. Give or take. I'm trying to say that ain't nothing. This dude just said a third of it. No. Hey, and I looked and behold a pale horse, and his name that sat on the death and followed him was given power over the fourth part of the earth to kill with the sword. So he's gonna kill a fourth part of the earth. We just sat here and complained and moaned and cried about 1 out of 100. And this dude said he's finna kill a fourth part. So y'all think this bad? Y'all think we panicking? Nah. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm talking about we ain't even seen nothing like this. We don't even believe this. Like, but like, this is crazy. I'm just telling you. Like, y'all think it was y'all, you know, I'm just telling you, this is what's gonna happen. This is the time of Jacob's trouble. And look, during the pandemic, like, it was, I'm gonna tell you who was worse on. So I watched, Stephen Curry. I watched Dwayne Wade, LeBron James. I watch sports. But I watched all these people during the pandemic. They're home, chilling with their family. Like everything's cool, really, because they got money. Now, the other day, I ride down McDade and I see a church and I say, wow, they still giving out water and food and clothes. The poor was hurt by this. Well, who you think gonna be the poor when it's all said and done? Us, the same. Okay, and so that's who's gonna be affected most in this time of Jacob's trouble. Let's go to Revelation. Should we be going to Revelation 13? That next? Revelation 13. Yep, that's next. Revelation 13. Revelation chapter 13, and let's pick this up in verse 1. When you get here, Revelation chapter 13 and verse 1. Y'all okay? Everybody all right?
Yes, sir.
All right, that's cool. That sound better than we be in Philly. I asked them, they be okay. They don't want to say nothing. I guess they just be hot. That's what I'm going to assume. Revelation chapter 13. And let's pick this up at verse 1. When you get there, go ahead.
And I stood upon the sands of the sea, and saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon his heads the name of blasphemy.
Again, so what this represents, of course we know it's Satan, but what this really represents is the dynasty, and they pulling this from Daniel. You know what I mean? Like, God know that we got both. So when he's giving it to John, he like, he knows we're gonna be able to. John can go back to Daniel. He got the book of Daniel at this time. Okay, so that's why they're using these leopards and all this kind of stuff. It's a description of the European dynasty. Go ahead, verse 2, right? Go ahead.
And the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard, and his feet were as the feet of a bear, and his.
I was in history class. I asked my college professor, I said, is Rome going to ever come back to power? Because when you in college, when you learn history, it's European history. That's all. I mean, you don't learn African history. You don't learn Asian history. You learn European to American history. So I asked my college professor, because at the time we were dealing with the feudalism system, which was the basically the slavery system that they had, which is pretty much what we got now. And he said, nah, Rome is gone. The Roman Empire is gone. And, for all practical purposes, he would be correct, because nobody is, Rome is a city inside of Italy that's, basically the Pope's, and his army is only them, what they call them people, the Swiss guards. I mean, truly, Rome won't be a mega power like it was when Julius Caesar and when Augustus and when, Pompey and all these other men, these great men that we affiliate with Rome. So he say, no, it's not coming back. But see, what he didn't understand that I was trying to explain to him, 19 I am, and he's probably 40 or 50 at the time. I'm trying to tell him, But Rome exists through the church, the the Roman Catholic Church. And it existed through men that if you were to check their bios on your phone and or computer, it would say that they were the rulers of the Holy Roman Empire years after it had fell from the barbarians. Mussolini is one, actually. Napoleon. But then you got other names though, like Charles the Fifth and Justinian and Otto the Great. People that you're gonna learn in school in history, if you pay attention to the history class, and you're gonna hear it, and it ain't even gonna register. Yo, these are the Roman leaders. These are your Caesars. Okay, so he say, verse 3, and I saw one of his heads as it were wounded to death, because Rome had been destroyed, and his deadly wound was healed. And all the world wondered after the beast. They followed after the beast. The whole world did. You know, like how the whole world Christmas, the whole world Easter, the whole world New Year's, the whole world gonna wonder after the beast. The whole world Sunday is Sunday is different from any other day. I don't care what you tell me. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's not the same as the other 6 days of the week to the world. The whole world is wondering after the beast. They following up on them. Go ahead. What verse?
Verse 4. And they worshiped the dragon which gave power unto the beast.
See, the dragon gave power. Remember the dragon we read in Revelation 12 and 9? That's Satan. Satan gave this. So this world power, this United States, in God we trust, Canada, Europe, all that, Satan is the power behind this. So when you pick up your money and you see in God we trust, just know Satan sitting there smiling like, yeah, they trust me. It's my joint. Because it is. It's all him. All right? What verse?
The middle of 4. And they worship the beast, saying, who is like unto the beast? Who is able to make war with him?
Right, I get it too. Because when it's all said and done, Satan is the doggest of all dogs on this planet. Like what I say all the time, you got to get a devil his due. Because he earns it. He goes out there and he works. He the hardest worker I know on the planet, Satan is. He never stops. He outworks everybody. And if you can be got, he's going to get you. Go ahead.
And there was given unto him a mouth.
And how long is this Satan going to be ruling through this beast? He said, and there was given to him a mouth speaking great things and blasphemies. And power was given to him to continue for how many months, Marlo?
42 months.
42 months. So 12 plus 12, that's 24. There are 12 months in a year. Then another 12 on that, that's 36. So that's 3 years. Now, if I added another 12, that's going to take us out, 48? That's too many, right? But if we subtract 6 from the 48, that's 42. That's half a year. That's 3.5 years. 1,260 days. We have yet to see a 7-year tribulation in the Bible. Ever. Never, ever. 7 years, we all be dead. Won't be nothing to come back to. Let's go over to our next one. Isaiah chapter 16. Isaiah chapter 16. Isaiah chapter 16. Oh, you've been doing a lot of reading lately, haven't you? I ain't even mad at you. Isaiah chapter 16. I just thought about it. I want to say the last time I taught this, you might have read for me, but I'm not sure. Isaiah 16. And let's pick this up at verse 1 through 4. And when you get there, go ahead and read.
Send ye the lamb to the ruler of the land of Selah, to the wilderness, unto the mount of the daughter of Zion. For it shall be that as a wandering bird cast out of the nest, so the daughters of Moab shall be at the fords of Aaron.
All right, so look. Now y'all got to go back to y'all lesson and turn it over to the back. I want to show y'all what this wilderness going to be. All right. Now, first thing I like to do is let everybody know. What's the most popular? Do this need batteries, bro? Yeah, it's red. Oh, no. Okay. Do y'all know what the most popular country is in Africa? Anybody can name the most popular country? Good one. Yeah, I would say so. Egypt, maybe Nigeria, maybe South Africa, but for the most part, it's one of those. Maybe even Ethiopia. But it's not like when you say Egypt, it's like trying to guess on a country called, Botswana or something. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's kind of hard for me to do it. Probably Josh, because we know a lot of African countries. But for most people, they don't really know a whole lot of them. And Egypt is one. And so I like to use that because Egypt is identifiable on the map. So the first thing I'm going to do is I want to show you Egypt. On our map is Africa, and Egypt is up here. And what you're looking at is region that leads up out of Egypt. Okay? That's what you look. So if you were looking at your map, Egypt is down and to the left. Okay? So that means it's southwest of Israel. That's where Egypt is. All right? Now, children of Israel left out of Egypt. They took it over to the land of Canaan, or as it says on our paper, the land of Israel, conquest of the land of Israel. But the most important part that I want us to get here, to your left on this chart, that is, what is that? The Mediterranean. That's the Mediterranean, basically. So if you were to leave on a boat on your paper, I'm sorry, like let's say Gaza, if you was to leave here and go start traveling east, you know where you're gonna end up? No, sorry. You start traveling west, you know where you're going to end up? New York. Okay? I'm just trying to get you an idea of where we are on our map. So they like pretty much, you end up in New York or Georgia or maybe even here. Somewhere up in this region, though, if you go from, because actually I think Jerusalem and Atlanta, if I'm not mistaken, are on the same latitude. Latitude go around, longitude go up. Yeah. So I think like Jerusalem, I think they both at like 33 or something in Georgia. So, basically if you left out of here and you start traveling west, just keep going west, you'll end up in Georgia somewhere or maybe even here. Okay? So I'm just trying to give you an idea of where we're looking at right now. So in so many words, if we were to leave America, yeah, there we go. If we was to leave America, right over here, thank you, and we came right on across, bam, that's where we are on this the Mediterranean, and that's what. So when y'all be starting to ask like, how we gonna get to the wilderness? I mean, that's a straight shot. You really start thinking about it. I mean, I'm coming to show you where it is. It's not like you got to climb mountains and all that. You just got to get past a body of water, which we done did that before. Might have been a little bigger. So now it said Isaiah chapter, where were we?
42.
40. No,
I'm
not
16.
42. Okay, yeah. Oh, I'm on the wrong, man. Look here, man. Paper's in my hand this way. All right, 16. Okay, so he said Arnon and Moab. So when you look on your paper, you should see to the far right Arnon River and Moab. Y'all see that over there? That's your wilderness. That's where your wilderness. You want to know where the wilderness is gonna be? That's it. You know what I'm saying? How you want to know how to get there? Just go east from here. I'm telling you. You really want to know how to get there? When you say what you mean, just go. No, straight up. Follow the sun. Just go east. All right. So now you pretty much know where it is and how to get there. So he says, "Send ye the lamb to the ruler of the land from Selah to the wilderness, and to the mount of the daughter of Zion. For it should be that as a wandering bird cast off of the nest, so the daughters of Moab shall be at the fords of Arnon. Take counsel, execute judgment." Go ahead, start reading there.
Take counsel, make thy shadow as the night in the midst of the noonday.
Watch this.
Hide.
Why you put your plagues on this earth. Because see, we saw the seals, but what we didn't get to was the vials of wrath. See, the vials of wrath, we trying to be protected. Because that's when the frogs and the blood and all the other issues that the Lord going to bring on this place. So he's saying, look, hide my outcast. Go ahead, keep reading.
Bewray not him that wandereth.
What else?
Let my outcast dwell with thee, Moab.
You see that? Let my outcast dwell with you, Moab. So now understand something. Y'all see that Hebron next to the left of Moab? Y'all see Hebron? That's where David first ruled from when he became king in Jerusalem. The capital first was initially in Hebron. And the reason I want to show you that is because right now, I want you to know that at some point we're gonna be able to leave the wilderness and get to Jerusalem. Okay. But I just want to show you Hebron first because that's right by Jerusalem, like right by. So this is really all of what that's the wilderness, and then Hebron is where the Lord ruled, and we'll get some more later. So he said, "Let my outcast, verse 4, dwell with thee, Moab. Be thou a covert to them from the face of the spoiler." Like something going on, and you saying protect a covert, like protect them. Go ahead, keep reading.
For the extortioner is at an end, the spoiler ceaseth, the consumed out of the land.
All right. Let's go on over here to back to our paper. Let's go to where are we? Isaiah 16, Psalm 91. Psalm 91. Psalm 91. Psalm chapter 91. And again, we are looking at the wilderness, and we're looking at the first stage of it. Because, brothers and sisters, it ain't two separate wilderness. You gonna go to the same wilderness. The wilderness will serve two purposes. I like to say Goshen is how I like to see when I use the word Goshen. That's where the children of Israel were when the plagues was running through Egypt. How we didn't get hit by the swarms of flies, or our cows didn't get messed up, and all these because we was in Goshen. So the parallel to the wilderness that we trying to make it to is Goshen. Kind of like how y'all was when y'all was feasting. Because when y'all was feasting, y'all was in the land of Goshen. Well, I don't know about y'all, but we was. Let me tell you how we was feasting. Like, we was on this block, right? In the hood, too. In the hood. And, matter of fact, it was so hood that the next morning while we were trying to leave out of there, cats doing hit and runs, tearing up street lights. I mean, for real, in the hood. So, on this end, that end, everywhere around us is hell. Matter of fact, when we leave, and you try to go down the street, they rioted. We have no clue. Are you good? We have no clue that they're rioting. I mean, like, all we see, everybody get an alert on their phone at 6 o'clock, like, curfew. You know what I'm saying? Like, we ain't getting no curfew for Corona. You remember they were trying to tell us to stay in. Didn't no alert hit my phone. Like, and this joint hit everybody in the phone, everybody in the room phone. And then everybody start panicking. Not everybody, a lot of people start panicking. I'm like, man, we straight. Because we was in Goshen. Where nobody gonna bother us where we was at. And we was gonna make it home because we got angels surrounding us. We was gonna all make it home safely. And that's what happened that night. Okay. So the Lord, and see, this chapter right here, though, it's gonna tell that same story. Psalms 91. Go ahead, pick up verse 1.
He that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty.
That's what we was. We was in the secret place of the Most High. What you mean, Jediah? You wasn't nowhere weird. Yeah, we was. We was in some house in the middle of a neighborhood that didn't nobody even know what was going on. Right. Like, it was a secret place. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's where it was. But he that dwelleth in the secret shadow of the Almighty. That's in any set of circumstance, not just the wilderness. You know what I'm saying? Like, you hiding with God. Like, you hiding behind him. He's your God. He's your shield, your protection. Go ahead.
I will say of the Lord, he is my refuge,
yes, sir,
and my fortress, my God, and him will I trust.
Hide behind the Almighty, because he is your God. He is your refuge. That's who you trust. That's why we ain't sick, y'all. You know what I'm saying? Because we've been sitting here the whole time dwelling in the secret place. Even though you was in plain view. You was out, but you've been dwelling in the secret place, though. When you go home and you praying to somebody who commandments you be keeping. Go ahead.
Surely he shall deliver thee from the snare of the fowler,
yeah,
and from the noisome of the pestilence.
Yes, sir.
He shall cover thee with his feathers, and under his wings shalt thou trust. His truth shall be thy shield and buckler. Thou shalt not be afraid for the terror by night.
So now we just sat here and we was in Revelation 6 and we was talking about this dude gonna conquer, he's gonna kill a fourth part of man and all that kind of stuff. It said we're not gonna be afraid by the terror of night, though. We good. Just like that night when we was down there feasting. We ain't have a freaking clue how bad it was out there. Like on my way home from the feast, y'all. Real talk. My wife is in the vehicle in front of me. We pull up at a stoplight. Men start walking to her car. I'm in the car behind her. Like in the car in front of me, in my car is me and that Shine. In the other car is all the rest of my kids and my wife. And like men start, the light red, they start walking up, like trying to talk to her in the middle of the hood now. And she just ran the red light after that. Obviously. You know me, I'm big Billy Bad, but after my wife say rolled out my window, y'all know that was my wife, right? But look here though, I'm serious. That's what happened. Like, no, I think I said something slick like, oh, I guess y'all didn't know her husband was following her, huh? You know, because they was like all walking up to the car, but you know why they was doing that? They had just finished looting the Family Dollar. So on my way home, like literally, the Family Dollar had like basically we could just walk. But basically, they were trying to tell her, get out and go get some stuff for your baby. That's what I'm trying to tell her. You got all them kids in the car. Y'all know black folks love one another. Like, oh, you get something too. And the point that I'm getting at is, but we didn't even know this was going on. You see, like we didn't even realize going home, this is what we're about to see. But yo, it was like, this place was like hell. Now the other night, when me and Marlo was out, and they started all this, I'm just saying, like, the Lord had us protected. Because, you know, I think we wasn't drunk. Not even close to that. But police out, and I'm leaving the Saturday night feast, so I done had maybe a beer or two. I honestly don't do too much on Saturday night. But I know I got to get up that Sunday and teach. But, like, we went that night to, like, we rode all through Philadelphia from the baddest parts to the good part. To where we ain't had no business being because we black. And but let me tell you something. Guess what? I didn't see that whole ride. No police. That's who the enemy was that night. I'm just telling you, that's who it was. Like if I would have saw the police that night, I would have been tweaking. You know what I mean? Just because of everything that's going on. But what I'm saying is, man, I was rolling in the secret place in the Most High. And you know what was crazier about it? I knew it too. It was like I felt like the whole weekend. And maybe I had to because people coming to me looking for their confidence. But I felt like untouchable. Like, man, we straight. We ain't gonna get sick. We ain't finna get robbed over here because we was in the hood. I mean, we leave the sofas out overnight sitting on the side of the house. But I'm saying we was dwelling in the secret place of the Most High. People don't even know why they can't. You know how Wakanda had the big old shield around. People don't even know why they can't mess with us. You know what I'm saying? They on the outside looking in all day. And that's because we was in Goshen the whole time in the secret place of the Most High. What verse are we at?
Middle of 5.
Go ahead.
Nor for the arrow that flies by
I'm not afraid of the terror by night, nor the arrow that fly by. And I wasn't. I had zero fear. I almost felt like, bro, why are you playing yourself with all of this? And then I'm like, man, I'm not. Like, I'm gonna tell you what I mean by that. So we had the Feast of Passover, Passover, right? And that was when the coronavirus really was jumping. We had it. Think y'all might have seen me post on Facebook. Now it's time to go back to quarantine. We ain't quarantine. We ain't do nothing no different than before. But the moral of the story is that nobody gets sick. So now we come back around for the Pentecost. Like, man, my chest sticking way out. I ain't scared of nothing. Then people coming up to me, yo, they saying we gotta leave the city block. I'm like, you feast. You gonna get home. Anyway, when you serving God though, man, and you put your faith and your confidence in him, man, like you feel like a whole nother creature. Straight up. Because there's no fear. That's what it is, no fear. I had none. And like I said, maybe that was the Lord because he knew people was gonna look for confidence in me. You know what I'm saying? But I ain't had none. What verse are we at?
I'm about to start 6.
All right, go ahead.
Nor for the pestilence that walketh in darkness, if at noonday.
None of that stuff gonna mess with us. Keep reading.
1,000 shall fall at thy side.
Look what he said. He's saying 1,000 gonna fall right by you, but you gonna be straight. Keep reading.
And 10,000 at thy right hand, but it shall not come nigh thee.
Man, that's how I felt. That's how, like, I know this verse. I know this chapter. And see, that's the thing about it is when you know it, and then it's playing in your brain, and it's like, man, what am I worried about? And it be real. It don't be like a fake, you trying to convince yourself everything gonna be all right. It's like you arguing with yourself about you being overconfident that everything gonna be all right. That's really what's it, like, bro. You man, you need to check something, make sure something's straight, make sure the door locked or something. You know what I'm saying? Like, cause you just got too much. I ain't scared, but that's what I know. When you dwelling with the Lord, He got angels. He gonna protect you. This is Goshen, and it don't have to just be in the wilderness. That be the thing. Like I remember, I lived in apartments N3. I'm at work. And at work, we used to have them TV screens up. And they started showing some apartment buildings in my city on fire. So I'm in building N, and it's 1, 2, 3. And then that next building over there is his brother named Isaiah. We had brought him in the word. Yo, all them buildings was on fire on the news. Not mine, not his. I was like, yo, that's dope. I'm talking about like I was at work, and they like, you finna leave? And I'm sitting there still looking like, yo, my joint ain't on. I'm watching it. I'm like, it ain't on fire like me or Isaiah. Like we both. It's like, so I'm somewhere else, and they saying like, you ain't gonna leave. And I'm thinking in my head, I'm still looking at the thing like, bro, like look how this fire going. Like it is completely missing my house, and it did all together. Everything else burned down. So the point I'm getting at is, man, when you notice, like it be there. It be there. It happens for real when you serving God. Anyway, what verse are we at, bro?
I'm about to start 8.
All right, let's go. Yeah, keep reading.
Only with thine eyes shalt thou behold and see the reward of the wicked, because thou hast made the Lord, which is my refuge, even the Most High, thy habitation.
See that? Go ahead.
There shall no evil befall thee, neither shall any plague come nigh thy dwelling. For he shall give his angels charge over thee to keep thee in all thy ways.
Oh, that's Satan tried to hit Jesus with. So at any rate, though, let's go over here to Revelation chapter 13. Revelation 13. We're gonna go back over here. Believe it or not, we on the downswing of it, so we'll be done we'll be done about 4 o'clock. Close to it. But I don't care. We ain't gotta go nowhere for no pool either. Yeah, y'all made this real convenient. Sir? No, I skipped it by accident. Let's go to Daniel 11, y'all. My bad. Daniel 11. I skipped that one by accident. So Daniel. So look, let me tell you how this lesson is going so far. The Matthew is the foundation for the coming of the Lord. So when we start talking the foundation of the coming of the Lord, because when you start talking place of safety during the Great Tribulation, you got to understand that happens at the end time instead of the rapture. Then the way we structured this lesson, intro, the first thing we did was we introduced the guy that's going to be over he going to be the bad Christ. Then we got to Jeremiah to show you that, hey, like, this is going to be the worst time for a time of Jacob's trouble. Then as you look at Revelation, we begin to introduce the stage on how the destruction that's going to come and who's behind this destruction. Then as we looked at Isaiah and Psalm, we saw that in the midst of all the destruction, we protect. So that's what we've been so far. And we almost, like I said, we're not almost done. Let's go. Daniel chapter 11. Daniel chapter 11, let's pick it up at verse 32. If we almost done, it's because I'm going to start rushing, and I don't even want to do that. I don't know when the next time I'm going to come back to North Carolina. Daniel chapter 11, and let's pick this up at verse 32. When you get there, go ahead and read.
And such as do wickedly against the covenant shall he corrupt by flatteries. But the people that do know their God shall be strong and do exploits.
A couple of things with this right here. First of all, it said that and such as do wickedly against the covenant shall he corrupt. The he God is the Antichrist. We back in this chapter discussing the Antichrist. This is what we were discussing in this chapter 4. But now what I'm here, though, is I'm showing you. So I took you to the wilderness when we was in Isaiah 16. Took you to it, showed you where it was. But then I took you to Psalms 91, and what I explained to you was, in the meantime, I didn't make it to the wilderness, but I was in the wilderness. And I gave you a demonstration of how I felt when we were, when we were at the feast. Now, when we look at Daniel chapter 11, we are inside this time period. And he says, and we inside the Great Tribulation period. And he said, as such as do wickedly against the covenant, he, the Antichrist, gonna begin to corrupt with his words. But the people that know their God shall do exploits. What's important about this scripture is that it's telling you that the people who know their God, they still gonna have to deal with the Antichrist and the Great Tribulation. So it's not like every single person managed to get to the wilderness for whatever reason. Go ahead, keep reading.
And they that understand.
But I do want you to understand that just because you don't make it to the wilderness don't mean you ain't in the wilderness. And what do you mean by that, Jediah? Okay. So let's say me and Joe stuck here and everybody else done made it. Like whatever me and Joe own, like if we keeping the commandments, we protect it. Like the Lord can still protect you. Now, it might not be like the wilderness where the grass starting to grow back. And I mean, we might be living in the sewer somewhere together, you know, singing Kumbaya on nights we don't know when we gonna eat. Right, you know what I mean? I'm saying it's not, I'm just saying it's gonna be rough, but we still gonna have a job to do if we manage to not make it to this place of safety. Because based off these scriptures, what do it say? Verse 34. 33, I'm sorry.
And they that understand among the people shall instruct many, yet they shall fall by the sword and by flame, by captivity, and by spoil many days.
So it's gonna be people exploiting and with understanding, instructing people. So then I thought they would have been. I thought all the people who understood was rapture. You see, so like what I'm trying to show you in this scripture is that you face the hell on this earth. Look at the next verse. Read that.
Now, when they shall fall.
Oh, they're going to fall. See, the rapture got you away from all this. When you shall fall, go ahead.
They shall be hoping with a little help, but many shall cleave to them with flattery.
We're going to see that little help when we get to Revelation 12. Meantime, let us take it over to, oh, did you read 35? Read 35.
No. And some of them of understanding shall fall to try them.
It's giving a reason why we are going to be, why you might fall. You might, like some who might fall, so others, hold on, let's redo it. Some of them understanding shall fall to try them and to purge and to make them white. Meaning, like, it's going to be a reason why you're going through this hand. Some people might not make it, or I might die, just so you can see, like, yo, they died for this. I'm dying for it too. That's the fall it's talking about. Not like you're going to fall as if you're going to fall off, but as if to say, like, you might die through this tribulation period. But it's going to be to purge some of us, to try some of us. Some of us going to be strengthened by what we see, you know, our brothers or sisters or kids. You know, sometimes these kids get real brave on you. They be 12, 13 years old, walking the fire first. Now you know you got to go. You know what I mean? Like, they done learned the way. You're like, dang, I don't talk to you too well. I do not want to go. So, I mean, and that's how I be. I know that's how I be with me and my son. Like, with me and my son, stuff I be scared of, I can't be scared no more. Because he can't know, because I done told him, and he ain't scared of it. So then I got to do it too. Except for the mice. Make him get all them. Nah, but what verse are we at?
Yeah, I just finished it.
All right, let's go to Revelation chapter 13 now. Revelation 13. Revelation chapter 13. How many scriptures you got, Josh? That's all you need. I don't never write them down no more. Yeah, I don't even write them down no more. Like, you know what I mean? After a while, it's gonna be. You gonna see. It ain't even worth writing down. It's the Lord. It's a baptism. You know what I'm saying? You already know the rules. You'll see. You'll see. Revelation chapter 13, and let's pick it up at verse. Look at man. I keep looking at that. Revelation 13, and let's pick it up at verse 5. So we picking it back up. Who gave power to this? Last place we was. Oh, we're gonna read it. Go ahead, verse 5.
And there was given unto him a mouth speaking great things and
Him is the
blasphemies.
Antichrist. Go ahead.
And power was given unto him to continue 42 months. And he his mouth and blasphemy against God, to blaspheme his name and his tabernacle and them that dwell in heaven.
Go ahead.
And it was given unto him to make war with the saints and to overcome them.
So you see that this dude is gonna beat some of the saints up. Like we gonna wear one. Go ahead.
And power was given him over all kindreds and tongues and nations, and all that dwell upon the earth shall worship him, whose names are not written in the book of life of the Lamb slain from the foundation of the world. If any let him hear.
That's good. That's good. Now let's jump down. Something I want you to notice too, verse 8. Well, verse 7, it said, and it was given unto him to make war with the saints and to overcome them. So again, where is the rapture? I'm just trying to see if you see it somewhere. Then he says, to blaspheme his name, his tabernacle, and it was given unto him to make war with the saints and to overcome them. Power was given him over all kindred, tongues, and nations. So this dude gonna rule the world. And all that dwell upon the earth shall worship him, whose names are not written in the book of the Lamb, slain from the foundation of the world. So when was the Lamb slain? Jesus is the Lamb. When was he slain? All right, remember you said that. Let's jump down to Revelation verse 13. I'm saying you ain't got to remember today. I'm saying you just remember that you said that another time when you need it. Revelation 13, let's pick it up at verse 13.
And he doeth great wonders, so that he maketh fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men.
Like nobody else that we seen. He's going to make fire come out the sky. We ain't seen that. So he's going to be a believable guy. For you to see that coming out the sky, like, because if I seen one of y'all have fire coming out the sky, we going to get paid. We going taking you right back with me. We going downtown Manhattan. We finna do this. One way or the other. You know what I mean? We either going to be superheroes or we going to be Greek freaks. But we going to do something around here and make some. But no, seriously, though. We ain't never seen nobody make no fire come out the sky. And this is what he going to do. That's why, like, everything we done read prior to this, like, you got to understand this going to be something that you ain't never seen. So it's not going to be as easy for you to say, I ain't following him. You know what I mean? Like, because he going to come as a nice guy with power. What verse?
I'm about to start first.
All right, go ahead.
And to see them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth that they should make an image to the beast, which had the womb by a sword.
Go ahead.
And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast,
man, don't take your
should
mind
be killed.
Don't take your mind too long onto that verse to figure out what that image is. All you know is they're gonna make some type of image that's gonna, walk, talk, and deceive people. And I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't think about no stone image when I think of this. You know what I'm saying? I think more technology, and I think more. They got 3D stuff going on now, and they got what's the Coachella, whatever. They be having what's it called? Coachella. Yeah, Coachella, where they be having the artists and they be dead and they be rapping and singing and stuff. I might even see something like that even. But what I don't see is something that look like Tree Man coming out the ground all of a sudden. Somebody done bootleg Drew or something and be like, nah, this gonna be something that's gonna have people shook and really feeling like you got me. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I'm just, like I'm saying, the movies play tricks on you. This gonna be real. It's gonna seem real. It's gonna feel real. It's gonna be real. Go ahead. What verse?
Verse 16. And he causeth all, both small and great.
But what you paying attention to is this part. Because whenever you see this come out, you don't want none dead is, which is what again, Lo?
Rich and poor, free and bound to receive a mark in their right hand or in their forehead.
Yes, sir.
And that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark.
See, it's certain variables that you're looking for scripturally to qualify the scene that you're looking at. What you need to make sure is that the time, like for example, if they say right now, look, you need this food stamp card to get any food. You can't get food whether you put the money on it or whether the government put the money on it. You got to use this card. That ain't the mark of the beast. That might be a prelude. It said again, like I don't care, like the Bitcoins. They got the Bitcoins. I don't know if y'all heard about that. They had some of the Bitcoin in that first stimulus act. They had some stuff in there about it in there, just thrown in there. See, the act is funny. Yo, it's really crazy what's going on. That I feel like they really trying to do something in front of our faces without us knowing. But when this virus hit and they passed that first act, You know, they was passing all kind of stuff right then. That really all we cared about was the check, though. You know what I'm saying? Oh, we get a check? Oh, cool. We didn't care about none other act that was written down or, you know, and then they about to do it again. You know what I'm saying? And like, but one of the things that was there was the Bitcoin. I'm like, why is we talking about Bitcoins in the midst of a, you know, I don't know if y'all know what Bitcoins are. Bitcoins are money that doesn't exist. Hasn't really been printed, but it's all existing on the computer, which in reality is how we spend our money anyway. So I understand the concept of using it. Instead of us saying, let's print up greenbacks, let's say you just got 50 Bitcoins. I get it. But what I'm saying is that ain't the mark of the beast. You understand? The mark of the beast, based off the Bible, you're looking for something. Verse 16 is, he causes all both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond to receive it. They're going to play a lot of things into, because once you take this mark of the beast, ain't no coming back from that. So it's going to be a lot of stuff. You ain't got to be scared of all this stuff. But when they start saying, yo, read this verse again, it's important. That's why I'm focusing on it, because some of this stuff in this lesson, if you know it or not, it's not going to make a real difference if you make it to the wilderness or if sometimes some stuff get deep. Some stuff, though, I need you to see it so that when you see that, you know what to do. You know we real. You know this ain't no facade the story I'm telling you right now. If these things don't happen, then either it wasn't going to be in my lifetime or the Bible just fake. But again, Revelation 13, he had power to give, verse 15, image to the beast. That the image of the beast should both speak, cause that as many as do not worship the image, the beast should be killed. He caused all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand and in their foreheads, that no man might buy or sell, save he that hath the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. You gotta have some of that. Like you can't accidentally take the mark of the beast. That's the moral. That's what we getting at. You ain't gonna accident when you take this mark, when you identify yourself with that religion or with that affiliation, you're gonna know that's what you did. All right, what verse are we at?
18.
I'll be reading all that. Go ahead.
Here is wisdom.
Uh-huh.
Let him that have understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666.
I ain't gonna get too much into that. It's not Ronald Reagan though. Sorry, Killer Mike. Nice song, by the way. But it's not Ronald Reagan. And it's not, but as far as here's the thing about the number of his name and 666, and this dude gotta be evil. This dude gotta come and really say he's God. That ain't Ronald Reagan. That ain't none of the Bushes. They ain't saying they God. You know what I'm saying? Like, that ain't Mikhail Gorbachev or whatever. These are all different antichrists over the years. What's the boy? The one they killed in the Middle East in Afghanistan. They had him. Bin Laden. He was an antichrist at one point too. All these people they ain't antichrist. Like they antichrist. When you got antichrist, I need to see your power. You know what I'm saying? You got to prove to me you an antichrist. You know what I'm saying? I need to see something. I need to see. Can I see some? Okay, you ain't got to make no fire come out the sky. Can I see some smoke then? Just bring me some smoke out the sky or something. So anyway, what verse are we at?
That was the end of that.
All right, so now we're going to go to Revelation chapter 12. Revelation chapter 12. And let's pick this up at verse 1. Revelation 12 and 1. And why are we at Revelation 12 and 1? Oh, yeah. I get it, though, right? But I think that should be Revelation 11. That's what that should be, 1 through 15. How about that? That makes more sense. Yep. Revelation 11, 1 through 15. So let's go from here and let's take off.
And there was given me a reed like unto a rod.
So the reason I know this is because what we're doing right now is we're going from one wilderness to the next. Okay? That's what we're doing right now. So and the transitioning going from one wilderness to the next is the coming of the Lord. That's the transition. And so we're going to find that transition here. Revelation chapter 11. So whether it's fortunate or unfortunate, we're pretty much at the halfway point. So Revelation 11, let's pick it up in verse. So what time is it? Yeah, I know, right? Then somebody say we only at the halfway point. Did somebody just say that? Yeah, we are. But no, but it's the second half go by faster though. I think. The sun go down at what you say? 10 o'clock? Oh. Hey, y'all want to know something fun fact? Today is the second longest Sabbath of the year. Do y'all know what the longest Sabbath will be? Next week. Today is the second longest Sabbath of the year. Do y'all know when the longest Sabbath will be? Next week. Oh. Huh? Yeah. Because next week will be the like the 21st, 22nd, 20th in that time scale is the longest day of the year. That's why. Yep. So just a fun fact. So next week will be the longest Sabbath. So y'all really want a long Bible study? Come to Philly next week. Matthew, where we at? Revelation 11. Let's pick it up at verse 1. And when you get there, go ahead and read.
And there was given me a reed like unto a rod.
All right, so this is still John. So John was handed a measuring stick. Go ahead.
And the angel stood, saying, Rise and measure the temple of God.
All right, stop. Now, early in Matthew 24, we talked about the temple. Jesus was walking through. He said, now one stone going to be left upon another until all be destroyed. So now, this is like, let's say, 50 years later. Temple's still there, though. But the temple will be destroyed in about, well, let's say that's about 40 years later. Temple destroyed. Actually, the temple will be destroyed in the next 5 or 10 years from when John wrote Revelations, okay? So he's saying, he's telling John, he said, in his dream or vision, go measure, he said, and it was giving me a rod saying, rise and go measure the temple of God. And so they're still there. So he's saying, go measure the temple of God, right? Verse 2.
But the court which is without the temple leave out.
He said, but look, when you measure the temple, don't measure the court part. Leave that off your measurement, bro. Go ahead.
And measure it not.
Why not? Why are you not measuring it?
For it is given unto the Gentiles.
So what the Lord is saying is that temple that Jesus walked by and said that there's not one stone left upon another that should not be laid here upon another. He's saying, look, I'm not going to give that temple to the Gentile. He said, but more importantly, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give them the courtyard area for a reason. That's where they're going to put, that's where another temple shall be erected. Go ahead.
And the holy city shall be tread underfoot 42 months.
And he said, and the holy city should be under somebody else's foot, treaded underfoot for 3.5 years. That's for 42 months again. Again, we ain't seen 7 years nowhere. 7 years, nowhere. And it's only really one place you're going to see 7 years. And that's when Jacob said, can I work for my wife for 7 more years? And that turned into what we know as a week anyway. So with all that being said, I'm just like, where we get a 7-year tribulation from? Or a 7-year, yeah. Where are we at?
Verse 3.
Go ahead.
And I will give power unto my 2 witnesses, and they shall prophesy 1,260 days clothed in sackcloth.
Go ahead.
These are the 2 olive trees and the 2 candlesticks standing before the God of the earth.
Look, these ain't dead men walking. These 2 people are our sons, you know, some of our sons, or some of us, or some of our grandchildren, depending on what time period this takes place in, who have the faith high enough to compete with the Antichrist. That's what you're gonna need. Like Samson wasn't able to push the walls of the pillar down until his mind said he could do so. You know what I'm saying? He had the faith. He had to believe. So you have to believe that you somebody that can battle this Antichrist. And once you could do so, then the Lord say, verse 4, these are the 2 olive trees and the 2 candlesticks standing before the God of the earth. He quoting from Zechariah. So at verse 3 said, I'm going to give power to 2 witnesses. Okay, so we're going to have 2 witnesses during the same time period as the Antichrist, all right? Like a Moses and an Aaron. Verse 5.
And if any man will hurt them, fire proceedeth out of their mouth.
So if you try to hurt these 2 witnesses, they're going to have fire coming out. Now, I don't think their breath going to be that hot, that they're going to be smoking out dragon fire. But I think that they're going to be able to, by the words of their mouth, destroy you if you try to hurt them. Now, I don't know exactly how that's going to go down. You know, I'm not professing to be one of the wilderness, but if it happened to be one of my sons, then I guess we just gonna figure it out and I'll let you know. You know what I mean? Like it's not somebody dead. This is the argument during the week. Is it Elijah? and Enoch. No, Elijah and Moses. I'm like, man, both of them dead. They not coming to do this. Go ahead. What verse?
Middle of 5.
Uh-huh.
And devour their enemies. And if any man will hurt them, he must in this manner be killed.
Look what else they got power to do.
These have power to shut heaven, that it rain not in the days of their prophecy, and have power over waters to turn them to blood, and to smite the earth with all plagues as often as they will.
Keep reading.
And when they shall have finished their testimony, the beast that ascendeth out of the bottomless pit shall make war against them, and shall overcome them and kill them.
So these two witnesses going to end up dying. So they're going to be out here. They're going to die. Let me tell you how long they're going to do this. They're going to do this for 1,256 and a half days. That's how long they're going to be out here prophesying and battling the Antichrist for 1,256 and a half days. Go ahead.
And
don't remember that number. It's not that important. You're going to understand how I know the number in a minute, though.
Verse 8. And their dead bodies shall lie in the street of the great city, which spiritually is called Sodom and Egypt, where also our Lord was crucified.
Go ahead.
And they of the people and kindreds and tongues and nations shall see their dead bodies 3 days and a half, and shall not suffer their dead bodies to be put in graves.
They're going to have these men going to die. They're just going to have them in the street, just laying out there dead. Go ahead.
And they that dwell upon the earth shall rejoice over them and make merry, and shall sing
so
gifts.
It's going to be like Christmas time to them. They're going to be, even though it's going to be more like October when it's taking place, but it's going to be like Christmas time. They're going to be happy because they killed these two men who was walking around here against their king, the Antichrist. Go ahead.
And shall send gifts one to another, because these two prophets tormented them that dwelt on the earth. And after 3 days and a half, the spirit of life from God entered into them, and they stood upon their feet, and great fear fell upon them which saw them.
The reason why I knew is how long they prophesied. They prophesied during the Great Tribulation. They die at the end of the Great Tribulation, and 3.5 days later, the Lord is back. They're not resurrected specially. It's not like they get resurrected first, and then we get resurrected a month later or something. Like they are all of us together, and we're gonna see this. So he said, verse 11, and after 3 days and a half, the spirit of life from God entered into them. So that tells you too, like that's a deep statement right there in itself. Like it's a spirit of life, like he gave them their life, like he did initially with Adam. Okay. Then he said, entered into them, and they stood upon their feet. Great fear fell upon all of them which saw. Right, you just saw two dead men, been dead for 3.5 days, just get up. But that ain't all you saw. You saw a bunch of dead men get up. That's what happened. Go ahead. I mean, what verse am I at?
I'm about to start 12.
We'll see. You already read it, right?
No, I ain't there.
Okay, go ahead.
And they heard a great voice from heaven saying unto them, come up hither. And they ascended up to heaven in a cloud, and their enemies beheld them.
This ain't the rapture either. Now, this is what people might think is the rapture when he said, come up hither. But when he's talking about coming up hither, because we're going to learn today, because he's coming to take the earth now. And you, two witnesses, and the rest of you saints, y'all on my side when we take the earth, because we're taking the earth by violence. Y'all are now a part of my army. Welcome, Corporal Joshua. You know what I mean? Go ahead. What verse are we at?
13. And the same hour there was a great earthquake, and the 10th part of the city fell, and in the earthquake were slain of men 7,000, and the remnant were affrighted, and gave glory to the God of heaven. The second woe is past, and behold, the third woe cometh quickly. And the 7th angel sounded, and there were great voices in heaven, saying, the kingdoms of the world are become the kingdoms of our Lord and of his Christ, and he shall reign forever and ever.
All right, and so that's how we know, because the 7th trump came right after that. And that was it. He was like, when the 7th trump come in, hey, our God come in and take over this joint. We understand that through other lessons. But let's go on over here to, where the heck are we? Back to Matthew 24. Back to Matthew 24. All right. So again, if you trying to follow properly, this is where we are now going to the second wilderness. After the, because right now, what you just, if you just paid attention, we just got to the resurrection. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what was in Revelation 11, the resurrection. All right. So now, after we're done with the resurrection, we're gonna walk this into the kingdom, and we're gonna see us going into the wilderness again. Prior to the resurrection, we were in the wilderness while the Antichrist was going ham on the earth. We didn't take the mark of the beast. Why? Because we was in Goshen, or the wilderness. All right. The reason I like to use Goshen is because I like for you to remember that God does things the same. He's delivering us from Egypt, and he had us in Goshen down in Egypt. He's going to put us in the wilderness today. Just that simple. Now, let's look at us going to the wilderness and making that covenant with God. Because when we left out of, remember, when we was in Egypt, Moses said, free my people so we can go out here to the wilderness and serve God. So when we leave Egypt now, that's what we're going to do. We're going to leave this bondage, and we're going to go out here to this wilderness and learn how to serve our God. All right? So, Matthew 24, verse 27. Matthew 24 and 27. When you get there, take off.
For as the lightning cometh out of the east, and shineth even unto the west, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be.
So, look, ain't no rapture. Like, when I say ain't no rapture, this is an anti-rapture class. Like, nobody's going to leave this place. He said, and then, because, you know, they try to play the rapture like it's some secret. He said, for as the lightning cometh out of the east and shine into the west, so also, like, just like how like, you see when the lightning, like, you don't miss it. Sometimes it be pitch black out. And that lightning come, and you be like, you swore it was daylight when it just hit. Like, it was so quick and such a flash that you got to argue with yourself. Like, bro, I know I just seen daylight. But the moral of the story is, ain't no secret rapture. For as the lightning cometh out of the east, shine into the west. Go ahead, Lo.
So shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. For wheresoever the carcass is, there will the eagles be gathered together.
Right, because when he come back, it's going to be a lot of death. So he's like, man, when I come back, I'm going to have, it's going to be carcasses all over the place, and it's going to be birds. I mean, I can just imagine us standing out in the front yard and we just seeing just black birds just bang, just coming around. I mean, that would pretty much be a scary sight. If anybody ever seen World War II footage, like real footage, they had that on. They had them birds was coming through that, you know, the way they was fighting that and was eating. But this is going to be on a super, super larger, bigger scale. He said, from wheresoever the carcass is, there will the eagle be gathered together. Go ahead.
Immediately after the tribulation of those days shall the sun be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light.
Go ahead.
And the stars shall fall from heaven, and the powers of the heavens shall be shaken. And then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven, and then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn, and they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory.
Secret rapture, go ahead.
And he shall send his angels with a great sound of trumpet, and they shall gather together his elect from the four winds, from one end of heaven to the other.
So he gonna gather the children of Israel after he returned. No secret rapture. Now watch this. Let's go to Acts chapter 1. Watch how we walk this path. So, like, really, like I said, from 12 through 24, that's like the coming of Jesus and what's going to happen. I'm talking about as far as on paper. Acts chapter 1, verse 6. Read that verse. Book of Acts chapter 1, verse 6.
When they therefore were come
Hold on. We got to wait on some professional rookies. They've been around long enough to be professionals and still turning pages like rookies. No, it's Acts chapter 1, verse 6. Go ahead.
When they therefore were come together, they asked of him, saying, Lord, wilt thou at this time restore again the kingdom to Israel?
All right, so look, because that's remember we was in Jeremiah. He said that, you know, the time of Jacob's trouble was about delivering the captivity of Israel. He said, well, Jesus is here. He done died on the cross. He done resurrected. He done been with the disciples for about 45 days or so, whatever, 42. I don't know, no specific number, 40 something. And then afterward, he about to go, and they like, well, are you now gonna restore the kingdom then? Because you the Christ, that's your job. And he like, bruh, it ain't even for you to know the time, so on and so forth. Go preach the gospel, whatever. But what I'm here to show you is that Jesus is here to be king, not to rapture us and take us to some strange place that is billions of light years away. He made the earth for us to live on it. Isaiah chapter 11. So with that being said, this perfect of a man who been here and lived here, he don't want to be with people that act like this. Like, man, you thought it was bad when he was on the earth. He like, man, we probably act. I mean, I can't. That's what I mean by something like this. So when Jesus was here, they had brought to Jesus a woman who they caught in the act of adultery, right? So that tell you that adultery was still something that they was walking around here stoning folks for. Because that's what they was about to do. I mean, Stephen got stoned by Paul. So in Jesus' era, they still had some standard of thou shalt not kill going on. Thou shalt not bear false witness going on. If the Lord come back in 2020, he finna kill all us Negroes. Because we break every law. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, we not only is people sleeping with, their best friend baby mama now, but shoot, they done got crazy now. Men sleeping with men. I can't even imagine Jesus being around that. Man, look at marrying dogs. You know what I'm saying? Like, what's wrong with these people? You know what I'm saying? Like the root, like in stealing. Oh man, you just saw us, right? You just saw us over the last 2 weeks. That was stealing that we did. You know, when you go in store and you take something that's not yours. Oh, by the way, when you break the window, that's called B&E. Where I'm from, that's breaking it in. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I'm saying we just break the law. We break the law so much that sometimes we be rooting for people to break the law because it ain't that major. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, go ahead and get that bank. It ain't nothing but a Bank of America. They been robbing me all my life anyway. It's insured. That's what I said about all the shoes they just stole. I was like, that stuff is insured. I'm not mad. You know what I'm saying? But I'm just saying, look how evil the society is. Jesus ain't trying to be around this. So then, if he's coming back to be king, what does that mean he has to do to the society? Bro, I got to clean this place up. So we already saw part of the cleaning. He say, hey, where you see the eagles come in, that's where the carcasses are. Why do you think that? Why do you think if we talk about blood up to the horse's bridle? Like, all that's going to purify the land. You thought that blood was going to make this land foul, but in reality, it's going to purify this land. Because that's how defiled this land is now. So at any rate, Isaiah 11, and where we at? 10? Yeah. Go ahead. Isaiah chapter 11, verse 10.
And in that day there shall be a root of Jesse, which shall stand from a ensign of the people. To it shall the Gentiles seek, and his rest shall be glorious.
So my man Jesse, that's David's dad. So Jesse, David, Solomon, then we run it down some years, some generation, Joseph, Jesus, or Mary, Jesus, how you want to play it. Okay, so basically the son of David, the son of Jesse is Jesus, or the son of David is Jesus. So he says, and in that day there should be a root of Jesse, Jesus, which shall stand for an ensign or a sign of the people. See, it should the Gentiles seek. So he's saying that the white man gonna be seeking after this man too. Like, because right now, and they're not. And the reason I keep using the white man, because that's what the Gentile is. Like, we are Shemitic. We come from Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. That makes you Shemitic. That makes you Israel because you come from Jacob. And then, the Asians and the Mexican, Spaniards and your Russians and, Indians, and most of y'all are Gentile dominant. All Africa Gentile dominant. Well, no, it's not, JD. It's black people got independence over there. Look here, man. So what's the strongest military in Africa? Y'all heard of? Y'all seen them on any NATO or UN nation runs or anything? Surely the Sudanese was up there in Israel helping them fight in Jordan or something, right? No. Yeah, I'm so yeah, they might got some diamonds down there, Love you for it. But y'all don't run nothing. The European run the world. Every you hear about, every aircraft carrier you hear about, those are Gentile nations. Whether you're talking about the Asians or whether you're talking about the European, those are all, and that's who run the world today, starting from Nebuchadnezzar. This is about nationalities. That's what this is about. I'm not an Israelite because I want to be one. I'm honest. I'm being absolutely honest with you. I'm an Israelite because my daddy was Negro. His daddy was a Negro. You're following me? I was born here. But I am not an American. I am somebody. I am an Israelite. All people aren't Israelites. And guess what? All blacks aren't Israelites. Because there's a whole bunch of Hamites live in my neighborhood. They're from Africa and they're African. And they know they're from Africa. And they'll tell you, you know, I'm from this place or I'm from that place and so on and so forth. Where are you from, by the way? What did he say? I'm from Crenshaw Mafia. Where we at?
Who's that, man? I just finished 10.
All right, go ahead.
And it shall come to pass in that day that the Lord shall set his hand again the second time to recover the remnant of his people.
Look what he said. I'm going to recover this people. The remnant. I'm going to bring, like, he not recovering the Irishmen. You know what I mean? You know, they came to the New York or whatever. You know what I'm saying? It was a little rough on them, you know. He ain't coming to recover the Mexicans. You know, the Mexicans, they be up here. By the way, man, I hate the fact that the Mexicans, they be trying to act like they the poor scum of the earth. Y'all do realize they run California and Texas, though, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, by the way, two of our more, and Arizona and New Mexico, which, by the way, that's probably our more wealthier pocket of the planet, of the United States. You know what I'm saying? Like, that is, trust me, they got more wealth than this side of the United States as far as the South is concerned. So I'm just saying, like, you know, anyway, but y'all want to act like, you know, the Mexican is an Israelite too. That's stupid. Like, well, then fine. If that's the case, well, then give me a whole doggone state. Because they got all of California. When I go to the McDonald's, when I go to the airport, when I go to any place that I went to in LA, when I was there last, hey, I saw Mexicans like I'm used to seeing blacks and or whites. Like, I've never seen that in my life. And then I understand, I'm like, you know, there's a little more homework. I'm like, oh, this is Mexico right here. You know what I'm saying? They just changed the borders or whatever, put some American borders on. It's Mexico, though. We just snatching up some of their, you know, Mexican dollars for them to work over here. Like, that's what we do. Anyway, though, I'm just trying to say, with all that being said, there ain't nobody, no Israelites, but these black folks right here. And we are Israelites. Nothing else. What verse are we at?
Middle of 11.
All right, so, and it should come to pass in that day that the Lord should set his hand again the second time to recover the remnant of the people which he left from Assyria and from Egypt and from Pathros and from Cush and from Elam and from Shinar. By the way, that's Babylon. And from Hamath and from the islands of the sea. The islands of the sea most oftentimes sound like America to me. Go ahead.
And he shall set up an ensign for the nations, and shall assemble the outcasts of Israel, and gather together the dispersed of Judah from the four corners of the earth.
To rapture them. That ain't what he doing, y'all. He gathered them to bring them to Jerusalem where he'll be king. Keep reading.
The envy also of Ephraim shall depart, and the adversaries of Judah shall be cut off. Ephraim shall not envy Judah, and Judah shall not vex Ephraim.
Go ahead.
But they shall fly upon the shoulders of the Philistines toward the west. They shall spoil them of the east together. They shall lay their hand upon Edom and Moab, and the children of Ammon shall obey them.
Keep reading.
And the Lord shall utterly destroy the tongue of the Egyptians, of the Egyptian sea, and with his mighty wind shall he shake his hand over the river, and shall smite it in the seven streams, and make men go over dry shod.
Go ahead.
And there shall be a highway from the remnant of his people, which shall be left from Assyria, like as it was to Israel in the day that he came up out of the land of Egypt.
All right, let's go over to Deuteronomy chapter 30. Deuteronomy 30. Deuteronomy chapter 30. And let's pick this up at verse 1. Deuteronomy 30 and 1. And when you get there, go ahead and read.
And it shall come to pass when all these things are come upon thee.
So what we're doing right now is we went back to Deuteronomy. We went back to Jerusalem. To the wilderness when we were initially there. And God had gave us the commandments, and he was like, if you keep the commandments, then I'm going to curse you. And if you don't, then if you keep the commandments, I'm going to bless you. But if you don't, I'm going to curse you. And I'm going to send you to the four corners of the world. Deuteronomy 28 is how we kind of really relate to that chapter. And it proves that we are the children of Israel. So then he says later, though, and it should come to pass. Then when all these things are come upon thee, the blessings and the curse, which I have set before thee, and thou shalt call them to mind among all the nations, whither the Lord thy God have driven thee. So we ain't gonna call them to mind really until the Lord come back. And shall return unto the Lord thy God, shall obey his voice, according to all that I command thee this day, thou and thy children, with all thine heart and with all thy soul. Then what? Then go ahead, Lo.
That then the Lord thy God will turn thy captivity and have compassion upon thee, and will return and gather thee from all the nations, whether the Lord thy God has scattered thee. If any of thine be driven out unto the outmost parts of heaven, from thence will the Lord thy God gather thee, and from thence will he fetch thee.
I don't care if you're on the space shuttle up in space. I don't care if you made it to Mars or Pluto by that time. You gonna come back. That's how the Lord operates. Go ahead.
And the Lord
is gonna die where you at, idiot. Go ahead.
And the Lord thy God will bring thee into the land which thy fathers possessed, and thou shalt possess it. And he will do thee good and multiply thee above thy fathers.
It'll be a marvelous day. Go ahead.
And the Lord thy God will circumcise thine heart and the heart of thy seed to love the Lord thy God.
Circumcise your heart and the heart of your seed, because he's going to begin to make a covenant with you. He's going to show you, because we, as a people, have no clue what God wants. Now, a couple of us do, a couple of us in this room, but as a people, we have no clue what God wants. We are clueless. Like, just imagine the Sabbath to, some of these people. You know what I'm saying? When I say some of these people, your people, our people. You know what I'm saying? I'm saying, think about the people you know, and think about them trying to keep a Sabbath with you. You know what I'm saying? Or, just think about them trying to keep God's commandments. They don't know nothing about it. They have no clue what God requires. None. Oh, it's sickening how bad the world don't know. Sad how bad they don't know. Our people don't. To the point where, we think it's cool to be gay. Or another one, sleeping with a woman on her menstrual. We don't think there's nothing wrong with that. You know what I'm saying? Not as a majority, a group of people. You know what I'm saying? Or cheating on your taxes. Claiming the baby that ain't yours. That's what I'm saying. We just normally do evil stuff and think it's nothing wrong with it. Go ahead, what verse?
Verse 6. And the Lord thy God will circumcise thy heart and the heart of thy seed to love the Lord thy God with all thine heart and with all thy soul, that thou mayest live. And the Lord thy God will put all these curses upon thy enemies and on them that hate thee, which persecute thee.
Go ahead.
And thou shalt return and obey the voice of the Lord and do all his commandments which I command thee this day.
So you see what the Lord's agenda is for Israel to return. Let's go to Ezekiel. Ezekiel. He wants Israel, his nation, to return back to this land that was given to our forefathers. Yo, today has been a real easy class, I'm trying to tell you. I probably just did a whole lot of talk because I ain't seen y'all, miss y'all. But long story short, look, we go to the wilderness the first time. We're going to escape the drama that God going to put on this earth during the Great Tribulation. Then he's going to return, Then he's going to return. When he get back, here's the reason why we're going to go back to the wilderness when he come back. Now, hopefully us, you and I, hopefully we got up in that first resurrection with them two witnesses. You know what I mean? We ain't necessarily trying to be here during the return. But as long as we alive, we blessed. Because according to Daniel chapter 12, it say, blessed is the man that make it to the 1330. As long as we alive, you blessed. I don't care if you spiritual or physical. But if you're physical, here's what happens next. Ezekiel chapter 20, pick it up in verse 30. Your aunties, maybe some of your kids and your grandkids. Okay? Here's what he's saying. But he talking to that woman that we saw back in Revelation chapter 11 or chapter 12. Yeah, go ahead.
As I live, saith the Lord.
Yes, sir.
Surely with a mighty hand.
And what else?
And with a stretched out arm. And with fury poured
What
out.
What he gonna do?
Will I rule over you?
The Lord said, I'm gonna rule over this people. See, right now he ain't ruling over us. Donald Trump is. You know what I'm saying? Or Satan is, if you really want to know. And not calling Trump Satan, because he ain't no more Satan than Obama was. Yeah, I said it. All of them. You know what I'm saying? I used to get pissed about that when they used to talk about George Bush, because everybody loved Bill Clinton. I say, yeah, but you wasn't no young man on the streets back then. Because when Bill Clinton was in office, all my buddies was getting locked up. That prison rate went from 500,000 to $1 million or 1.5 million. You know what Bill Clinton can do? I'm just saying. You know what I'm saying? Like, he wasn't my buddy. By the way, when George Bush was in office, he cut us a stimulus check. Y'all might don't remember that. But I caught $500. So I'm just saying, who y'all really vote for next time? I mean, I'm not trying to do no campaigning, but I will tell you this, though. Reevaluate your thought process on politics. Because you may tend, or you may learn that you might not be as democratic as you thought. Just something to think about. But at any rate, back to the book. He says, and as I live, saith the Lord God, surely with a mighty hand and with stretched out arm and with fury poured out, will I rule over you. I'm going to rule over this people. Go ahead.
And I will bring you out from the people and will gather you out of the countries wherein you are scattered.
Like here, like Brazil. Like y'all think, let me tell you something. We in South America. Like y'all, we here, but we in South America. Like we down there, thick. Just saying. Keep going.
With a mighty hand and with a stretched out arm and with fury poured out.
He said with a stretched out arm and a mighty hand, right? Because he's beating heads when he come back to gather his children. Because the Lord gonna prove, like he proved to Pharaoh, that I'm the boss. I made this, I run it. Y'all made the song, Who Run It? Jesus up there answer. They up there, who run it? Who run? He got this. He run all this whole planet. Go ahead.
And I will bring you into the wilderness of the people, and there will I plead with you face to face.
So when the Lord come back, he said, I'm going to take these children of Israel, where again?
The wilderness.
He said to the wilderness of this people. What wilderness? The one you just left. You just left the wilderness. That's the wilderness we go. That's the only wilderness we know right now. The Lord has returned. What we gonna do with that spot, Lord? You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, what we gonna do is a few people left over there. Everybody didn't get up or whatever. What we gonna do? All right, we're gonna let everybody else come here. I'm gonna meet them right there. That's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna meet them all right there. And what I'm gonna do? Go ahead.
Like as I pleaded with your fathers in the wilderness of the land of Egypt, so I will plead with you, saith the Lord God.
What else you gonna do?
And I will cause you to pass under the rod. And I will bring you into the bond of the covenant.
Same thing we did in the wilderness last time. We agreed to keep the covenant according to Exodus 24. He said all of what was in this book we said we'd do, and they sprinkled the blood on us. Moses did that. Him and Aaron, Nadab, and Abihu. You know what I'm saying? Some more elders. That's when they went up to see God. All right? So he said, look, I'm going to rule over you, though. Like as I pleaded with you in the wilderness before, I'm going to do it again. I'm going to give you my covenant. All of that. That's the second time we go to the wilderness as a group. You know, because hopefully we just going once. Hopefully we get there that one time, we get resurrected, we outie. And we can just watch the rest of this play out. But here's how it plays out. Go ahead, what verse?
38. And I will purge out from among you.
Oh, this is when the rebels get purged. After the Lord returned and we go to the wilderness. Not the first time. You know why? Because rebels ain't going to get in the wilderness with us the first time. And furthermore, because the church should be getting there, but you know, Israel is the church, and I might grab my cousin. I'm trying to grab my cousin. I'm trying to grab my little cousins, my aunties, as many people as I grab. But guess what? When they get there, though, we gonna make sure they straight. Ain't no purging. It's hell out there. We gonna make sure they straight. Like we've been running this. God ain't even here yet. We like the question is we gonna purge the rebels? We ain't gonna purge the rebels. We gonna be out here trying to convert people in the world. Making sure everybody keeping the commandments like as we are now for 3.5 years. But then when the Lord come back, then he gonna be in the wilderness. And that's when the purging go down. Just like it happened when the children of Israel and Moses crossed that Red Sea and went into the wilderness. What verse we at?
That'd be 38. I don't know, stop that, rebels.
All right. Yeah. So, and I will purge from among you the rebels and them that transgressed against me. I will bring them forth out of the country where they live, sojourn. Go ahead.
and they shall not enter into the land of Israel, and ye shall know that I am the Lord. As for you,
go ahead.
O house of Israel.
No. Jeremiah 33. I think we done with that one. Or Jeremiah 31. Yeah. Jeremiah 31. Jeremiah 31. And what we going to cut out of here? Let's see. I like Hosea. I like Jeremiah. Definitely got to have Isaiah. Okay. Mm-hmm.
I'll say that. Y'all know he's long-winded.
Mm-hmm. Jeremiah chapter 31. Let's pick it up at verse 22.
Mm.
Yeah, that is true. I mean, we ain't got nothing else to do. Yeah. Jeremiah chapter 31. And let's pick it up at verse 22.
How long wilt thou go about, O thou black sliding daughter? For the Lord hath created a new thing in the earth. A woman shall compass a man.
So look, he talking to us right now. He said, how long will you go about, backsliding daughter, my daughter? Look, I put you in a position where the woman then came up over you. And you still acting like, you still own what you own. That's what he's telling you right there. Go ahead.
Thus saith the Lord of hosts, the God of Israel, as yet they shall use this speech in the land of Judah and in the cities thereof, when I shall bring again their captivity. The Lord bless thee, O habitation of justice and mountains of holiness, and there shall dwell in Judah itself, and in all the cities thereof together, husbandmen and they that go forth with flocks.
Go ahead.
For I have
saturated
the weary soul, and I have replenished every sorrowful soul. Upon this,
when you say for I have, it's however, it's satisfied. Yeah. So it's like, I have satisfied the weary soul. I have replenished every sorrowful soul. Go ahead.
Upon this I awake and beheld, and my sleep was sweet upon me. Behold, the days come, saith the Lord, that I will sow the house of Israel and the house of Judah with the seed of man and with the seed of beast.
Go ahead.
And it shall come to pass that like as I have watched over them to pluck up and to break down and to throw down and to destroy and to afflict, so will I watch over them to build and to plant, saith the Lord.
Keep reading.
In those days they shall say no more, the fathers have eaten a sour grape, and the children's teeth are set on edge.
Go ahead.
But every one shall die for his own iniquity. Every man that eateth the sour grape, his teeth shall be set on edge.
Go ahead.
Behold, the days come, saith the Lord.
That's really why we're here. But we started off higher because he discussed like us, and that he gonna redeem us or restore us back. So now as we get to verse 31, he like, behold, the days come, saith the Lord, that he gonna do what? Go ahead.
That I will make a new covenant with the house of Israel and with the house of Judah.
With Israel. Go ahead.
Not according to the covenant that I made with their fathers in the day that I took them by the hand to bring them out of the land of Egypt, which my covenant they broke, although I was a husband unto them, saith the Lord.
Go ahead.
But this shall be the covenant that I will make with the house of Israel after those days, saith the Lord. I will put my law in their inward parts and write it in their hearts, and will be their God, and they shall be my people. And they shall teach no more every man his neighbor and every man his brother, saying, know the Lord, for they shall all know me, from the least of them unto the greatest of them, saith the Lord. For I will forgive their iniquity, and I will remember their sin no more.
So we were in Ezekiel chapter 20. He was saying that he was going to come and make a new covenant with the house of Israel. So here is that covenant where he's saying that I'm going to put my laws into their hearts and into their minds, and they're not going to sin no more. So this definitely ain't got nothing. The Lord definitely has to be here for this to take place. Now, that new, let's jump over to, we're not skipping. All right, let's go to Hosea. Hosea chapter 2. Hosea chapter 2. We're going to pick him up at verse 14. Hosea, chapter 2 and verse 14. When you get there, go ahead.
Therefore,
hold on. It's right after Daniel. And like, I think it's Daniel there.
Yeah, right after Daniel before Joel.
Yep, right after that. Hosea, chapter 2, verse 14. I don't know. Go ahead. Take off, bro.
Therefore, behold, I will allure her and bring her.
No child left behind class, bro. Go ahead, bro.
Therefore, behold, I will allure her and bring her into the wilderness and speak comfortably unto her.
And I will talking about Israel. He said, behold, I will lure her and bring her into the wilderness, and I'm gonna speak comfortably into her. What else?
And I will give her vineyards from thence, and the valley of Anchor for a door of hope, and she shall sing there, as in the days of her youth, and as in the days when she came up out of the land of Egypt.
Go ahead.
And it shall be at that day, saith the Lord, that thou shalt call me Ishai, and shall call no more Beli.
So Ishai. Well, keep reading. I think it's going to explain it here. Go ahead.
For I will take away the names of Baalim out of her mouth, and they shall no more be remembered by their name. And in that day will I make a covenant for them with the beef of the field, and with the fowls of heaven, and with the creeping things on the ground. And I will break the bow and the sword and the battle out of the earth, will make them to lie down safely.
Go ahead.
And I will betroth thee unto me forever.
Yes.
Yea, I will betroth thee unto me in righteousness and in judgment and in loving kindness and in mercies.
All right, that's good. So look, he said he's going to restore Israel. Therefore, behold, I will allure her and bring her into the world to speak comfortably into her. Then it said in verse 16, and it should be in that day, saith the Lord, that thou shalt call me husband and not call me Lord. So he's saying, like, now you're going to be married to me as opposed to me being your master and you my servant. Okay? Then he's saying, for I will take the name, right? I'm going to take all the evil names out your mouth, all this other guys, right? I will take away all the names of Baalim out of her mouth, and they should no more be remembered by her. In that day, I will make a covenant for them. So all this that we looking at so far, since we got to Ezekiel, is us coming into this covenant with the Lord. Let's go over to Jeremiah 33 now. And him marrying the children of Israel and how that takes place. All this happens at his return. Jeremiah 33. And then, we almost done. Jeremiah 33, let's pick it up at verse 4 through 9. And when you get there, read.
For thus saith the Lord, the God of Israel, concerning the houses of this city, and concerning the houses of the kings of Judah,
right,
which are thrown down by the mounts and by the sword. They came to fight with the Chaldeans,
right,
but it is to fill them with the dead bodies of men.
Man, you know, that's how, like, you walking over, but you're limping back. He said, you came to fight the Chaldeans, but really, you just about to have some dead bodies. That's what's about to be there when it's all said and done. Go ahead.
I have slain in my anger and in my fury, and for all whose wickedness I have hid my face from this city. Behold, I will bring it health and cure, and I will cure them, and I will reveal unto them the abundance of peace and truth. And I will cause the captivity of Judah and the captivity of Israel to return, and will build them as at the first.
Go ahead.
And I will cleanse them.
This is all what he's talking about he's going to do to Israel. Once they come into this wilderness and he brings them back into the land, I'm going to bring it health and cure, and I will cure them. revealed unto them the abundance of peace and truth. I will cause the captivity of Judah and the captivity of Israel to return, and will build them as at the first. I will cleanse them from all their iniquity. So this is what the Lord is doing in return, whereby they have sinned against me, and I will pardon all their iniquity, whereby they have sinned, whereby they have transgressed against me. So when the Lord coming back, he's like, I'm gonna forgive Israel for everything they did while they was acting a fool down there with me on this earth. And it should be to me, and it shall be to me a name of joy, a praise and honor before all the nations of the earth, which shall hear all the good that I do unto them. And they shall fear and tremble for all the goodness and for all the prosperity that I procure unto it. Let's skip over to verse 14. Go ahead.
Behold, the days come, saith the Lord, that I will perform that good thing which I had promised unto the house of Israel and to the house of Judah.
Go ahead.
In those days and at that time will I cause the branch of righteousness to grow up unto David, and he shall execute judgment and righteousness in the land. In those days shall Judah be saved, and Jerusalem shall dwell safely.
So notice what it's telling you here. In this particular day, Judah will be saved, Jerusalem will dwell safety because Jesus is there. Go ahead.
And this is the name wherewith she shall be called, the Lord our righteousness. For thus saith the Lord, David shall never want a man to sit upon the throne of the house of Israel, neither shall the priests, the Levites, want a man before me to offer burnt offerings and to kindle meat offerings and to do sacrifice continuously.
Go ahead.
And the word of the Lord is saying,
That's good. Let's go to Isaiah chapter 35. So here in Jeremiah, he was like, behold, the days come, said the Lord, that I perform the good thing when I promised unto the house of Israel. What good thing did he promise? That he was going to gather them, set them up, and establish them as a nation. All right. Let's go down here to Isaiah 35. 35. And when you get to verse 1, go ahead and read.
The wilderness and the solitary place shall be glad for them.
All right, so when the Lord come back, he said the wilderness will be glad for us. The solitary place is going to be glad to have us here now. Go ahead.
And the desert shall rejoice and blossom as the rose. It shall blossom abundantly and rejoice even with joy and singing. The glory of Lebanon shall be given unto it. The ecstasy of Carmel and Sharon, they shall see the glory of the Lord and the ecstasy of our God.
Go ahead.
Strengthen ye the weak hands and confirm the feeble knees. Say to them that are of a fearful heart, be strong, fear not.
So this is all water chip when the Lord come back. And I'm gonna let him keep reading and we're gonna explain a little bit. Go ahead.
Behold, your God will come with vengeance, even God with recompense. He will come and save you. Then the eyes of the blind shall be opened, and the ears of the deaf shall be unstopped.
Go ahead.
Then shall the lame man leap as a hart, and the tongue of the dumb sing. For in the wilderness shall waters break out, and streams in the desert. And the parched ground shall become a pool, and the thirsty land springs up of water, and the habitations of dragons, where each lay, shall be grass with reeds and rushes.
Go ahead.
And a highway shall be there.
Look, we in this wilderness. And he restoring everything. That's what he's telling you, like verse 6. Then shall the lame man leap as a hart, like a deer. The eyes of the blind should be open. Like all this gonna be happening down in the wilderness. Then at verse 8 he says, and it's gonna be a highway. So it's gonna be like a street, like Highway 31 or something. He said, and a highway shall be there. And a way. So that's what this highway over there to Jerusalem, which is somewhere over there near Hebron. But that pathway coming out the wilderness is gonna be like the way, like that road. Like let's just say it's called, 777, Highway 777. Like that's the only way you're gonna be able to get to the kingdom. You gotta get to the wilderness and then you gotta walk through Highway 777. All right. So he said, and then So he said, in the wilderness, verse 6, shall the lame man leap as a hart, and the tongues of the dumb sing. For in the wilderness shall waters break out, streams in the desert. The parched ground shall become a pool, and thirsty land, springs of water, and the habitation of dragons, where each lake shall be grass with reeds and rushes. And an highway shall be there, and a way, and it shall be called the way of holiness. The unclean should not pass over. So if you're unclean and you trying to, like, even if you just on your regular cycle, okay, do it. You can't walk over here unclean, period. Then he says, but it shall be for those. He said, the wayfaring man, though, fools shall not err therein. Meaning, ain't nobody gonna make no mistake and make it in there. He said, no lion should be there. We're still talking about the highway that takes you from the wilderness to Jerusalem. The street, the pathway, the literal ground. He said there will be no lion there, nor any ravenous beast. Go ahead.
Shall go up thereon. It shall not be found there, but the redeemed shall walk there.
Right, the redeemed, that you that came down, you have been gathered from wherever you are, you done went to the wilderness, and the Lord done made a covenant with you, and you have changed. You are redeemed. You get to go into Jerusalem by this street. Go ahead.
And the ransomed of the Lord shall return and come to Zion with songs and everlasting joy upon their heads. They shall obtain joy and gladness, and sorrow and singing shall flee away.
Right, and so what happens? They're gonna be walking up and down the street singing and dancing, and joy gonna come into Jerusalem. No more sorrow. Let's go to Ezekiel chapter 37. Ezekiel 37. We still in this kingdom of Jesus now. Ezekiel 37. We got two more after this. Yeah, y'all did well. What you mean that's it? Y'all did well. We 4 hours later, Thomas. What time we started for real? About 2 o'clock?
1:30. Sorry, 1:30.
1:30? No, we did.
It's only 1:30.
Wow. 3 hours. 3 hours. Guess it's like that sometimes. Ezekiel chapter 37. Let's pick it up to verse 20. Hey, let me tell y'all, when I first got the word, real talk, 3 hours was the norm. We never got 2 hours. You know when 2 hours started? Before Bowie got the building that he in now, he went to doing 2 lessons. He was doing like a 10 o'clock and like a 1 o'clock or something. And he started banging them out in 2 hours. That's when 2 hours started. Before then, 3 hours was the norm. And I got three cassette tapes of lessons sometimes. You know what I mean? And we just sat there and we ate. And if you fell asleep, then you just snore. And the guy next to you did you like that. You know what I'm saying? Like maybe somebody brought you some water, and we kept it moving though. Because we didn't have it on YouTube. You know, the ability for you to be able to recapture the moment was never the same. So you needed that moment. And so I still remember those moments even then. And we complain then. Ezekiel chapter 37. And let's pick it up at verse 20. Y'all don't be complaining though. But I just know we get used to 2 hours. I know that. Especially on Friday night. Don't act like when 11 o'clock come around here, you ain't like Elijah, you ain't done yet. Ezekiel chapter 37, pick it up in verse 20. If you get there, go ahead.
And the sticks whereon thou writest shall be in thy hand before their eyes. And say unto them, thus saith the Lord God, behold, I will take the children of Israel from among the heathen.
Same story, same message. Gathered Israel among the heathen. This happens after the 7th trump. Go ahead. Or at the 7th trump. Go ahead.
Whether they be gone, and will gather them on every side and bring them into their own land. And I will make them one nation in the land upon the mountains of Israel.
Right, because there won't be no Judah and Israel. That's what the Lord's expectation and plan is, to make this one nation again. Go ahead.
And one king shall be king to them all, and they shall be no more 2 nations, neither shall they be divided into 2 kingdoms any more at all.
Right.
Neither shall they defile themselves any more with their idols, nor with their detestable things, nor with any of their transgressions. But I will save them out of all their dwelling places, wherein they have sinned, and will cleanse them. So shall they be my people, and I will be their God.
Go ahead.
And David, my servant, shall be king over them, and they all shall have one shepherd. They shall also walk in my judgments and observe my statutes and do them.
Go ahead.
And they shall dwell in the land that I have given unto Jacob, my servant.
I think that's real crazy that 5,000 years later, you still talking about doing something for somebody who been dead. I just think that's amazing. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh yeah, by the way, all y'all get this land thanks to Jacob, my servant. Go ahead, keep reading.
Wherein your fathers had dwelt, and they shall dwell therein, even they, and their children, and their children's children forever. And my servant David shall be their prince forever.
Right. So when we say this, when the children of Israel get back into the land, they get David as king. I'm talking about dead man David, like the one who died, King David, who hit Goliath with the slingshot. That David, he gonna resurrect, and them people who made it out that highway, that's acting right from that wilderness, they gonna be under the rulership of David actually. Because you got to remember, Jesus is King of Kings and Lords of Lords. So he's over David as well. But David is going to be ruling, you know, like in the government. You got a president. You might have governors and mayors. But the Lord ain't operating like governors, nothing like that. It's just how he set it up. David going to be king over Israel. Let's go to Zechariah chapter 14. This will be, we got one more after this. Zechariah 14, we read this one verse here. Zechariah chapter 14, pick him up in verse 9. When you get there, go ahead.
And the Lord shall be king over all the earth. In that day shall there be one Lord, and his name one.
All right, that's good. And let's go to our last scripture. And what is it in? Micah chapter 1? Is that what it is? Oh, Isaiah? Oh, same thing. Isaiah chapter 2. My bad. That's in Micah, ain't it? Ain't no Micah chapter 1 and Isaiah chapter 2 say the same thing? Am I mistaken? Does anybody know? Y'all don't know? All right. Well, let's go ahead and go to Isaiah. Oh, we don't agree. Y'all ain't got it. We said Micah 4? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Y'all ain't got to agree. I ain't going to make y'all agree. I'm going to make y'all go through and read it when we're done. Let's go to Isaiah. Isaiah chapter 2, picking up verse 1.
The word that Isaiah, the son of Amos, saw concerning Judea and Jerusalem. And it shall come to pass in the last days that the mountain of the Lord's house shall be established in the top of the mountains, and shall be exalted above the hills, and all nations shall flow on unto it.
So he's saying this government, this mountain, is going to be established in Jerusalem above everybody. And everybody going to flow into it. Go ahead.
And many people shall go and say, Come ye, and let us go up to the mountain of the Lord, to the house of the house of the God of Israel, of Jacob, and he will teach us of his ways, and we will walk in his paths. For out of Zion shall go forth the law and the word of the Lord from Jerusalem.
Go ahead.
And he shall judge among the nations, and shall rebuke many people, and they shall beat their swords into plowshares, and their spears into pruning hooks. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore. O house of Jacob, come ye, and let us walk in the light of the Lord.
Go ahead.
Therefore thou hast forsaken thy people, the house of Jacob, because they be replenished
from the east.
Because they be replenished from the east, and are soothsayers like the Philistines, and they please themselves in the children of strangers. Their land also was full of silver and gold, neither is there any and their treasure. Their land is also full of horses, neither is there any end of their chariots.
All right, so I'm gonna read this out of Micah. We're gonna finish it here. Micah 4:1. So it says, I'm in chapter 4, verse 1. I just want y'all to see it said the exact same thing. And then we're gonna talk about it. But in the Michael, M-I-C-A-H. Michael chapter 4, it sits after like Obadiah and Jonah and Micah. Chapter 4:1, and this is how it starts. But in the last days it shall come to pass that the mountain of the house of the Lord should be established in the top of the mountains, and it should be exalted above the hills, and the people shall flow unto it. And many nations shall come and say, Come, let us go up to the mountain of the Lord, to the house of the God of Jacob. He will teach us his ways, and we will walk in his paths. For the law shall go forth of Zion, and the word of the Lord from Jerusalem. And he shall judge among the people, and rebuke strong nations afar off. And they shall beat their swords into plowshares, and their spears into pruning hooks. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, and neither shall they learn war anymore. But they shall sit every man under his vine and under his fig tree, and none shall make them afraid. For the mouth of the Lord of hosts has spoken. For all the people will walk, everyone, in the name of this God. And we will walk in the name of the Lord our God forever and ever. So, brothers and sisters, at any rate, the wilderness, it's a place of safety in the tribulation. But afterward, it's where the Lord gonna purge the children of Israel upon Jesus' return. So, brothers and sisters, I hope we got some understanding in the mighty name of Jesus, and I really thank you for your time. We're not about to read those Sabbath announcements.
I know.
We ain't read Sabbath announcements until we get back into some type of building. But you know, I will say as far as the dress code, you cannot wear pajamas. I don't care if you buy it. But no, seriously. I got you. No, all jokes aside though. As far as when church gonna be back, some of you may or may not know, but we had Deb run to the hotel. They wanted to meet with us about a week or two ago. And same as in where we are now in Philly, they was talking crazy, like 5 to a room. Well, 5 in Philly, I think they were talking 10 or maybe 15. But it's just not gonna work yet. Like, I mean, they just had too many rules, and we're not going to put ourselves in subjection. We already got to subject ourselves to another. We ain't gonna be in subjection to you right now. So, you know, especially I wouldn't do y'all like that with them Indians either, because I don't know if they're trying to be hawking or whatever. We will reevaluate the situation, and I am hoping that July 4th, which is the Sabbath day, everybody can just kick off. Because eventually they got to break this. And like when I say they got to break this, like y'all remember what started all this, the NBA, but they ready to hoop again. So they talking about doing this, you know, going to do that. So I'm looking at it like, you know, they can already say whether this numbers increase or not, that they ain't cutting the government. They ain't stopping the government again. They're not doing that shutdown that they did prior. So the show gonna go on now is how they're looking at it. But so like I say, give yourself, man, maybe another month at the very most. But I'll definitely be pushing the envelope when we do get in there. Like, for example, I don't know if anybody talks to the New Yorkers, but you know, they supposed to be on 15 and we be on 25. Meaning they supposed to be 15 people in the room and we be on 25 in the room. And we do 2 lessons there. Actually, it's about 30 in the room. They got about 60 people every week. So you know what I'm saying? We're going to push the envelope. Yeah, they say something to me in New York one time. Last time I was there, the lady said something because we did a baptism. So I just did 1 lesson. So I had everybody come, you know. But New York has been, they had something to say. And then we went back to doing the 2 because, you know, what they say, don't want to bite the hand and feed you. You know what I mean? Like, they are letting us hold it down. With all that being said, though, everywhere we look for church. We look for our own buildings so we don't have to go through this no more. Not to say that we weren't properly prepared. We are now educated, though. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Because we, you know, we're doing the best we can with our dollars. And in some cases, like, we was coming like that. It's like, Ohio, the class there, at one point, I'm not sure what it is now, I don't think they went up, but we spent $50 a week at the YMCA. Like, that's beyond beautiful. You know what I'm saying? Like, you ain't getting that type of price. But at the same time, we just saved up the money we need to save. So now we trying to find some locations. We looking here. Josh been looking to DC. The Marcus down in Jacksonville looking. We in Philly looking. Heck, even New York need a bill. They in a hotel. Like we gotta get Ohio. We gotta get them. You know, so we gotta get off these folks' land and get some piece of our own. So that's what we hoping and praying for. Make sure you're doing the same. The monthly fast is what, Thursday night? Nobody know? This coming Thursday or next Thursday?
North Carolina.
All right, so y'all got that. And other than that, we are going to close out. And then I'm going to add, where's Josh? Tell Josh to come here. Ira still in here? Yes, sir. Yeah, I don't know. I'm going to tell Josh to come here. Yep, I sure will. Okay, gotcha. Where's Josh? Let me tell y'all teachers something, just so you know, a rule. Have your butt in class for the announcements. Like, I mean, hey, you know, I know how it goes. Hey, I done heard this lesson like a million times. When the announcements come up, if you ever notice when I'm at the crib and announcements come on, hey, y'all chill for a second. Yeah, so I know you probably heard this lesson 100 times. You might have read it from me the last time I taught it. But when the announcements come on, I'll be in here. So when we leave out of here, I mean, like when we done, when we close out, we gonna pretty much go straight to the baptism. I don't want to get dark on the plan. But no, we're gonna go. So we're gonna pretty much go poolside. Once we got who all getting baptized today. Praise the Lord. Praise the Lord. All right. So we're gonna get poolside, and pretty much Josh gonna take these two brothers, and Ira, you're not getting in the water, right?
No.
So Ira, you gonna read.
All right.
You and James get in the water? Okay, so y'all can get dressed. After we close out, y'all can get dressed. And y'all two, and I'm gonna be sitting out there with y'all. Pretty much, once they get dressed, so they can go get dressed pretty much right after we done with the lesson. And then we'll sit poolside, and we'll open back up poolside. You understand what I'm saying? For you to do about 4 or 5 scriptures, nothing too more than that. Then we'll get them in that water, and then y'all we can eat. And then as far as Q&A, we're not gonna officially do Q&A today. That's all. You know, no, we just not officially do it. Meaning, if you got questions, you got 3 teachers here. You got Brother Josh here, you got Ira here, you got myself here. You know what I'm saying? And if any question you got, feel free to ask any one of us. We're not going nowhere, but we just not going to officially do Q&A today, just because it was just a different day for me. We started a little later than normal, whatever. So with all that being said, though, I don't care. Everybody got the instructions on what's going on for the rest of the day. Thank you very much. Oh, sorry. And for those that don't know, until further notice, whatever this address is, belongs to Israel the Church of Jesus from what time?
Zeppelin, North Carolina.
I know, but from what time? So y'all, okay. So look, while we're here in this house for the Sabbath, class starts at 2. So you need to get here around 1:30. I always say class started at 1:30, even though you started. You gotta go, they have open at home. But and with that being said, we may even come back next week. So chances are we probably will come back next week. I just got to kind of figure out what's going on with the rest of the East Coast. I'll holler at Nate, and if y'all going to be here, we going to be here. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's pretty much how that's going. So, yeah, so, I mean, if y'all going to be here, I mean, even though, like we had Sabbath in Philly, at the crib. I mean, it'd be tighter than this. I don't know how we do it, but we do it. You know what I'm saying? And so, you know, like I said, y'all don't need nobody's permission to have church because y'all are the church. So, with that being said, we're going to stand, face Jerusalem, and then talk our next agenda business.
You doing numbers? You doing numbers?
Our Father which art in heaven,
Our Father which art in heaven,
Hallowed be thy name.
hallowed be thy name.
Thy kingdom come.
Thy kingdom come.
Thy will be done in earth
Thy will be done in earth
as it is in heaven.
as it is in heaven.
Give us this day our daily bread,
Give us this day our daily bread,
and forgive us our debts
and forgive us our debts,
as we forgive our debtors.
as we forgive our debtors.
And lead us not into temptation,
Lead us not into temptation,
but deliver us from evil.
but deliver us from evil.
For thine is the kingdom,
For thine is the kingdom,
and the power,
and the power,
and the glory forever.
and the glory forever.
Praise the Lord,
Praise the Lord.
for he is
For
good,
he is good,
and his mercy shall endure forever.
and his mercy shall endure forever.
Praise the Lord God of Israel,
Praise the Lord, God of Israel.
for he is good,
For he is good,
and his mercy shall endure forever.
and his mercy shall endure forever.
These things we pray in Jesus' mighty name,
These things we pray in Jesus' mighty name.
the Holy One of Israel,
Holy One of Israel,
the mighty one of Jacob,
mighty one of Jacob,
the King of kings,
King of kings,
the Lord of lords,
Lord of lords,
the one true God,
one true
and
God,
there is none other.
and there is no other.
In Jesus' mighty name,
In Jesus' mighty name.
amen.
Amen. The Lord bless thee and keep thee.
May the Lord bless thee and keep thee.
The Lord make his face shine upon thee,
The Lord make his face shine upon thee,
and be gracious unto thee.
and be gracious unto thee.
The Lord lift up his countenance upon thee,
The Lord lift up his countenance upon thee,
and give thee peace.
and give thee peace.
And they shall put my name upon the children of Israel,
They shall put my name upon the children of
and
Israel,
I will bless them.
and I will bless them.
Hallelujah!
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 In Jesus' name.
In Jesus' name,
Amen.
amen.